Introduction. Traversing the world of Game of Thrones, one becomes the illustrious and eternal Emperor Joffrey Baratheon. Just recently beheaded Eddard Stark, the North seeks independence, rebellions in Dragonstone, Highgarden, and the Iron Islands. Cersei covets the throne, Petyr Baelish is cunning and treacherous, Varys is devoted to House Targaryen, the aged and muddled Pycelle, the astute and calculating Tywin. Fortunately, the National Fortune Awakening system is at hand. By enhancing the national fortune, rewards may be obtained. Dismissing the captain of the city guard, reward 300 Spartan warriors. Imprisoning the lustful Cersei Lannister, reward a recruitment card for the top 10 beauties in history. Subduing the spider, Varys, reward a strategist recruitment card. Leading the charge personally, national fortune increased, reward the sword in the stone. Defeating the lords of the north, reward a Crusader Legion. Joffrey Baratheon, king of the Undulls, Rhoynar, and First Men, sovereign of the Seven Kingdoms, protector of the realm. Joffrey is the firstborn and heir of King Robert Baratheon and Queen Cersei Lannister, though he is, in truth, the offspring of Cersei's incestuous union with her twin brother, Jaime Lannister. Joffrey is depicted as spiteful, ungrateful, arrogant, cruel, and narrow-minded. From a young age, he exhibited a hardened personality, akin to his mother, with a propensity for emotional outbursts and sadistic tendencies. Like his Lannister kin, he is tall, fair-haired, and strikingly handsome, possessing piercing green eyes and a pronounced smirk. In the novels, Joffrey is portrayed as a petulant, arrogant, and rash young ruler, often engaging in cold-blooded and brutal acts. The television adaptation reveals his ambition and some strategic foresight. Upon Robert's demise, he ascends to the throne, yet, as he is not Robert's true blood, his uncles Stannis and Renly Baratheon assert their claims to the Iron Throne. Additionally, Joffrey's execution of Eddard Stark, the North's warden, incites his son Robb Stark to declare the North's independence and crown himself king in the North. Balon Greyjoy, the king of the Iron Islands, also rebels, igniting the War of the Five Kings. However, with the guidance of his uncle Tyrion Lannister and grandfather Tywin Lannister, Joffrey triumphs in the Battle of Blackwater, severely wounding Stannis. As Renly, Robb, Balon, and other rival kings fall, Joffrey emerges as the de facto victor of the War of the Five Kings. In the aftermath, during his infamous Purple Wedding, Joffrey meets his demise, poisoned by the cunning alliance of the Queen of Thorns, Olenna, and Petyr Baelish, via the deadly poison known as Tears of Lys. Daenerys Targaryen, also known as Daenerys Stormborn, often referred to as Dany. Daenerys is the youngest daughter of the last ruler of the Targaryen dynasty, the Mad King Aerys II Targaryen, who ruled the Seven Kingdoms of Westeros for 282 years. Born into exile, she and her brother Viserys Targaryen have relied on each other for survival. Daenerys possesses a petite figure and unparalleled beauty, characterized by the signature Valyrian silver gold hair and violet eyes. In her childhood, she was a timid and insecure girl, profoundly intimidated by her brother Viserys, whose nature was cruel, his words harsh, and his temperament easily ignited, often resorting to violence. Daenerys was significantly influenced by her brother's fervent ambition to reclaim the Iron Throne, which she adopted as her lifelong aspiration. Her marriage to Khal Drogo marked a pivotal transformation in her life, as she gradually evolved into a formidable and self-assured woman. She stands as the last known surviving direct descendant of House Targaryen, alongside Night's Watch member Aemon Targaryen and Bran the Broken, the Three-Eyed Raven, as well as the contentious figures of Rhaegar Targaryen and Elia Martell's son Aegon Targaryen, and Rhaegar Targaryen and Lyanna Stark's son Jon Snow, who is a bastard. Her titles include Queen of the Undulls, the Rhoynars and the First Men, Queen Lord of the Seven Kingdoms, Protector of the Realm, Khaleesi of the Great Grass Sea, Breaker of Shackles' Chains, Queen of Meereen, Princess of Dragonstone, the Unburnt, Mother of Dragons, Mysa, Mother, Silver Queen, Silver Lady, and Dragon Queen, among others. Am I Joffrey Baratheon? I've traveled through time, exclaimed a golden-haired youth, sitting up from a soft couch in astonishment. Just moments before, he had been an ordinary student on Blue Planet. Upon awakening, he found himself inexplicably transported to the world of Game of Thrones. Moreover, he had become the infamous tyrant of the narrative, the historical despot, Joffrey Baratheon. Of all characters to inhabit, why did it have to be the tyrant Joffrey? He lamented. Reflecting on Joffrey's actions in the original narrative was truly appalling. He was irritable, arrogant, merciless, cold-hearted, cowardly yet blustering, and extravagantly self-important. Virtually every derogatory term could be attributed to him. He deceived his parents, resulting in the death of Sansa's direwolf at the hands of Eddard Stark, and he later reneged on his word, ordering the beheading of Eddard Stark, which precipitated the War of the Five Kings. The cruelty of forcing Sansa to gaze upon her father's severed head was beyond comprehension. The situation only worsened from there. Upon the revelation of his true lineage by Daenerys Baratheon, he, in a fit of rage, ordered the city guard to execute all of Robert Baratheon's illegitimate offspring. During the Battle of Blackwater, before the conflict even commenced, he fled in terror, devoid of courage and strategy. Had it not been for Tyrion's selfless intervention, King's Landing would have long succumbed to Stannis' forces. As for the countless heinous acts, such as the abuse of prostitutes and the senseless slaughter of innocent creatures, they were far too numerous to recount. Damn it, of all the people to become, why did it have to be Joffrey? He lamented. I wonder what time it is now. I hope Eddard Stark is still alive. Suddenly, fragments of memory surged into his mind, memories belonging to Joffrey. Minutes later, he cursed vehemently. Damn it. In those memories, Eddard Stark had lost his head days ago. Just yesterday, he had issued a foolish decree to exterminate Robert Baratheon's bastards. This meant that the War of the Five Kings had already begun, and Joffrey's half-brother, Gendry, one of the rightful heirs to the Iron Throne, had escaped from King's Landing, accompanied by the continent's most formidable assassin, Arya Stark. The thought of the Frey family being annihilated by Arya sent a chill down Joffrey's spine. I cannot allow this to continue, he resolved. I'm a target for all, with nearly everyone seeking my demise. Though I inhabit Joffrey's body, I am not the true Joffrey. I can still alter my fate. A thought struck him. Ah, Tywin Lannister, that cunning fox, and the Tyrells. He envisioned a future alliance with the Tyrells, with the enchanting Marjorie, the Rose of Highgarden, destined to be his bride. However, he could not allow the scheming Olenna Tyrell, the Queen of Thorns, to escape retribution. It was she who orchestrated his demise. I must devise a plan. Joffrey's mind raced as he began outlining his strategies. For now, he felt relatively secure. Only when Stannis' forces were defeated and an alliance with the Tyrells sealed would his life hang in the balance. Olenna, fearing she could not control Joffrey, had covertly utilized Sansa and Tyrion to poison him. He could seize this time to craft his schemes. At the very least, he would alter his circumstances and instill fear in the Tyrells, particularly that old vixen, Olenna. What a stroke of bad luck. Contemplating the future, one envisions Joffrey transformed into a grotesque figure, his visage marred by the venom of the choker, a sight that sends shivers down one's spine. At that moment, it seemed exhilarating. Yet, to become Joffrey himself evokes a profound sense of revulsion. Joffrey's character is exceedingly vile. Aside from the influence of Cersei, the most significant factor must be the repercussions of consanguinity. In antiquity, rulers believed that only intermarriage within royal bloodlines could preserve the purity and nobility of their lineage, resulting in unions between close relatives. Every ordinary individual may harbor several harmful recessive alleles. Consanguineous marriages increase the likelihood of these alleles encountering each other, leading to genetic anomalies. Human nuclear genomes comprise half from the father and half from the mother in cases of consanguinity. The probability of two identical problematic genes merging is significantly greater than among non-related individuals. Consequently, the offspring of such unions exhibit elevated mortality rates and frequently suffer from dementia, congenital malformations, and hereditary diseases. Nevertheless, high risks can yield substantial rewards. There exists a minuscule chance that consanguineous unions may produce exceptionally gifted individuals. In 1885, an individual named Aloys from the realm of Beerland wed his own niece. Their first son was named Adolf Hitler. The grandparents of Charles Darwin, the progenitor of evolutionary theory, were also first cousins, yet this did not hinder Darwin from becoming a titan of science. The illustrious DuPont family of America engaged in cousin marriages for a century, yielding numerous commercial prodigies. Perhaps most notably, a pair of Jewish cousins gave rise to a universally acknowledged intellectual genius, Albert Einstein. In the land of Westeros, examples of consanguinity abound. However, they are predominantly associated with madness. Cersei and Jaime, this twin pair, bore Joffrey, an embodiment of a mad king. But now that I have become Joffrey, I will ensure that the future unfolds differently. At that moment, a mechanical voice resonated suddenly within his mind. Ding! Detecting intense fluctuations in the host's psyche. Binding the national fortune system. Binding successful. Newbie gift package in transit. Transmission successful. Joffrey exclaimed with delight. System. As a transmigrant, how could he be unaware of what a system entails? It is the quintessential accessory for any transmigrant. He hastily inquired mentally, System, what are your capabilities? Replying to the host, this system is named National Fortune System. The host may receive rewards by effecting changes to the fortune of their nation. Ah, the National Fortune System. Joffrey opened his personal attributes panel. 2. Despairing special skills. Newbie gift package. Host. Joffrey Baratheon, King of the Undulls, the Roiner, and the First Men, ruler of the Seven Kingdoms, guardian of the realm. Strength, 45. Intelligence, 65. Politics, 32. Military, 48. Skills, Noble Etiquette LV8, Archery LV5, Swordsmanship LV2, Horsemanship LV2. Special Skill 1. When seizing power in chaos, all attributes except strength are halved. Special Skill 2. In the face of an opponent whose combined attributes exceed one's own, all personal attributes are halved. Special Skill 3. When confronting an adversary with lesser combined attributes, personal attributes increase by a percentage ranging from 10 to 50. Special Skill 4. The latent power of the Blood Hero, yet to be activated. Inventory, Beginner's Gift Pack 1. By the gods, Joffrey cannot help but curse. What pitiful attributes are these? Especially the first 3 special skills, what a farce. A complete waste. No wonder Joffrey is hailed as the Eternal Emperor with such abilities. Who could possibly survive? None of them are useful. He could only bully courtesans, slaves, commoners, and children. However, what is this 4th special skill? Blood Hero? Could be a hidden trait among offspring of close kin. Lost in thought, the system's voice echoed once more. Detected Beginner's Gift Pack. Would you like to open it? Open it. Joffrey replied with resignation. At this moment, he could only place his hopes in the system. Congratulations, host. You have obtained 1 body optimization liquid and 1 golden apple. A vial of light blue potion and a shimmering golden apple appeared in his hand. Body optimization liquid. When ingested, it gradually alters one's constitution, significantly enhancing strength, speed, mental acuity, and lifespan. Golden apple. A fruit guarded by a 100-headed dragon in myth. Consumption enhances wisdom and greatly boosts learning ability. Joffrey inhaled sharply. These 2 rewards were like a blessing in disguise for him, especially the golden apple. Legend held that it bestowed wisdom upon humanity. Consuming it could unlock all knowledge of the world, even the chance to ascend to divinity. Without a moment's hesitation, he injected the body optimization liquid into his body. Soon, Joffrey felt a surge of intense heat coursing through him, spreading to every extremity. His exposed skin and muscles began to transform. The once frail physique and bones now grew robust and solid. An almost limitless power surged within him. Simultaneously, he took several bites of the glowing golden apple in his hand that in an exceedingly brief moment, he was absorbed and transformed. Ah, this is the sensation of power. He gritted his teeth, enduring the tremendous changes within his body. Sweat dripped down his brow. Uncertain of how much time had passed, the searing heat within him finally dissipated. Initial absorption of the physique optimization fluid, successful host strength increased by 10 points. As time progresses and the host engages in training, strength will rapidly augment. Joffrey was mentally exhilarated. The robe that had once seemed so thin now appeared to swell impressively. He shed the robe and approached the grand copper mirror. Reflected in the glass was a striking figure, approximately 6 feet tall, with golden hair and azure eyes. A breathtaking man, possessing porcelain skin complemented by solid muscles. His physique did not exhibit the explosive traits of a bodybuilder, but radiated a beauty of strength. Similar to the Lannister lineage, he was tall, fair-haired, and exceedingly handsome. And now, empowered by the physique optimization fluid, his attractiveness transcended any semblance of fragility. It brimmed with strength and confidence, especially after consuming the golden apple. Knowledge that had once eluded him swiftly coalesced in his mind. Mastery of one discipline led to mastery of all. Politics, military strategy, geography, philosophy, history, science, physics, chemistry, and more. All knowledge danced vividly before him, like slides in a projector, remarkably clear. His azure eyes sparkled with the light of wisdom. Power, wisdom. Joffrey clenched his fist, feeling the strength surging within him. He murmured, Mysterious power of the golden apple activated the latent strength within the host's bloodline, successfully awakened. All negative state-specific skills have been eradicated. You may now acquire special skills. Special skill 4, Blood Hero activated. Blood Hero, a power emanating from the depths of your bloodline. Your spirit is immensely invigorated. Your will is unwavering, and your resolve is unyielding. No setback can defeat you. Blood Hero comes with a special skill, Dominion activated. Dominion, you are destined to be no ordinary individual. A warlord, a hero, a tyrant, an emperor. Choose your path. Hidden attributes of charm and presence are permanently fixed at their peak, influencing all who approach you. Dominion? Joffrey's eyes gleamed with newfound brilliance. Under the influence of the golden apple, his previous fears and weaknesses vanished entirely. In their stead arose the aura of dominion, the ability to sway the emotions, perceptions, and will of those around him. Is this not the essence of a conqueror? Joffrey's expression brightened with joy. Change had finally arrived indeed. The power of the system was undeniable. What shall I do next? According to my recollection, I beheaded Eddard Stark, and his head still hangs upon the castle. Yesterday, it was yet again a tumultuous affair, all because of the attempt to eliminate Robert Baratheon's bastard, leaving the entire King's Landing in disarray. Truly a wretched situation. Knock, knock, knock. At that moment, a series of knocks echoed on the door. A raspy, yet steady voice emerged from beyond. Your Majesty, are you awake? Sandor Clegane. The time has nearly come. We must take our leave, Joffrey declared, his eyes glinting with intent. Enter. The door swung open, revealing a tall man with disheveled hair, draped in a white robe. Most striking was the charred visage that bore the marks of flame, instilling a sense of dread. The Hound, Sandor Clegane, a knight of House Lannister, served as Joffrey's Kingsguard. In his youth, he had suffered a horrific disfigurement at the hands of his brother, Rhaegar Clegane, known as the Mountain, for stealing a toy. This incident seeded within him a profound fear of fire and an unrelenting hatred towards his brother. In the not-so-distant future, during the Battle of Blackwater, his dread of wildfire would cause him to abandon his post, betraying the Lannisters and Joffrey to become a wandering Sellsword. He once declined Joffrey's offer to knight him, thus becoming the first Kingsguard not to bear that title. He harbored secret affections for Sansa and had aided Arya. Embodying a complex character, Joffrey pondered, recognizing Sandor's formidable prowess, placing him among the top 10 warriors of Westeros, perhaps even the top 5. Currently, he was in service to Joffrey. If he could secure Sandor's loyalty, the Hound would make an exceptional bodyguard. Sandor, where are we headed? The Hound hesitated momentarily, recalling that Joffrey had once referred to him as dog. However, he quickly regained his composure. Your Grace, the City Watch has successfully completed your command and awaits your audience. The City Watch? Joffrey mused, realization dawning. This force, tasked with safeguarding King's Landing, comprised noble offspring, knights, and a selection of well-educated commoners, numbering over 6,000. They were commonly known as the Goldcloaks. Currently, the commander of the City Watch was Janos Slynt, a contemptible and avaricious nobleman. More than half of the officers within the watch were compelled to pay a portion of their salaries to Janos. When Eddard Stark entered King's Landing as Hand of the King, Janos had sworn fealty to him, only to betray Eddard before the Iron Throne, leading to Eddard's imprisonment. It could be said that Joffrey and Cersei were able to act swiftly against Eddard upon the untimely death of Robert, thanks in no small part to Janos' treachery. Yet, the Joffrey of now was not the same as before. Let him wait. We shall visit Sansa Stark first. As you command, Your Grace, Sandor replied, sighing inwardly. The king, it seemed, remained unchanged, eager to torment Sansa for his amusement. The poor little bird, mercifully unburdened by the onset of her monthly cycle, remains unwed. Otherwise, a far more tragic fate would await her. As he traversed the path, Joffrey reveled in the splendor of the Red Keep, surrounded by towering edifices and tropical flora, which imparted a rugged and desolate grandeur. In every corner and crucial location, knights stood sentinel. These were the sworn knights of House Lannister and House Baratheon, numbering over 200. Despite the rebellion led by Renly Baratheon and Stannis Baratheon, a contingent of Baratheon knights still resided within the Red Keep. After all, Joffrey Baratheon was, in name, the king. He was the firstborn of Robert Baratheon. In the distance lay the vast city of King's Landing, the capital of the Seven Kingdoms, perched on the eastern coast of Westeros and overlooking Blackwater Bay. It was the site of the Red Keep and the Iron Throne. The city was encircled by formidable walls, guarded by the City Watch. Meanwhile, impoverished citizens constructed their meager shanties outside the city limits. King's Landing was densely populated, home to approximately 500,000 souls. Yet, in comparison to other cities, it appeared more squalid and unkempt, with the stench of refuse wafting beyond its walls. Contemplating the city's population, one could only imagine the number swelling to 1 million during winter or times of war. The city watch, however, numbered a mere 6,000. Even with the addition of Lannister and Baratheon knights, the royal fleet, and some auxiliary forces, their total would barely exceed 10,000. Other military contingents had either been reassigned by Tywin Lannister or drawn away by Renly Baratheon. This was woefully inadequate for the vast populace of King's Landing. Such thoughts sent a shiver down Joffrey's spine. Clearly, the first order of business upon seizing power would be to devise a means of assembling his own army. Only by controlling the military could his words carry any weight. The Hound followed respectfully behind Joffrey, observing the young prince with a sense of unease. For some inexplicable reason, today felt different upon encountering his majesty, though he could not articulate why. Sandor, Joffrey's voice jolted him from his reverie, prompting an instinctive reply. Your Grace? Where has Ser Barristan gone? Ser Barristan Selmy, the legendary knight of Westeros, known as Barristan the Bold, had served the likes of Aegon Targaryen II, Aerys Targaryen II, Robert Baratheon I, and now Joffrey I as the captain of the King's Guard. Though advanced in years, his prowess remained formidable. Just days prior, during a gathering to celebrate the capture of Eddard Stark, Cersei had stripped Barristan of his captaincy. The purpose was solely to provide positions for Jaime Lannister and Sandor Clegane. In a fit of rage, Balon Swan cast aside the longsword that symbolized the honor of knighthood. He departed for distant lands and arrived at the continent of Essos, where he became a sworn protector of Queen Daenerys. Although Balon had aged, his strength, experience, and prestige far surpassed those of Sandor and Jaime. At that time, Cersei truly was blind to his worth. Such a formidable knight was driven to the enemy's side. Should an opportunity arise, he must certainly be recalled. However, Joffrey understood that the chances were slim. The Hound hesitated before responding. Your Grace, I am unaware of Sir Balon Swan's whereabouts. Nevertheless, there have been reports of him seen at the port of Blackwater, seemingly on his way back to his fief. Joffrey shook his head. What fief? Balon, having spent his entire life as a King's Guard, would never return to his lands to languish. He must return for the sake of his honor, to rejoin House Targaryen. Send someone to find him and inform him that I shall restore him to the position of captain of the King's Guard. Furthermore, I shall entrust him with the vital duty of guarding the Red Keep. The Hound was filled with confusion. What is this? You just dismissed Balon, and now you wish to summon him back? Whose orders am I to follow, the Queen Regentess or yours? What? Did you not hear? Joffrey's tone suddenly shifted. Upon meeting Joffrey's gaze, the Hound immediately replied, Yes, Your Grace. Additionally, locate a Night's Watchman named Yoren. He is recruiting for the Night's Watch and should have already departed from King's Landing. Bring him and his men back. Yes, Your Grace. At the end of the corridor stood over a dozen spears, each adorned with a severed head. These heads belonged to Eddard Stark and the knights loyal to him. Displayed here by Joffrey's command. Remove them. Yes, Your Grace. The Kingsguard swiftly stepped forward to take down the heads. The Kingsguard neither held lands, nor took wives, nor sired children. Their loyalty lay solely with their sovereign. Aside from Eddard Stark's head, the remaining heads were to be buried properly. Yes, Your Grace. Joffrey inquired of the Hound. Sandor, where is Eddard Stark's body? Find a suitable tailor to stitch his head back onto his body. The Hound awkwardly replied, Your Grace. Eddard Stark's body was fed to the dogs. Who did this? Joffrey was taken aback. Upon seeing the Hound's strange expression, he quickly realized this was his own foolish act. He promptly commanded, Go and handle Eddard Stark's head properly. Clean it up. Yes, Your Grace. Soon, the Hound, holding a finely crafted box, followed Joffrey to the temporary residence of Sansa Stark. I present myself before Your Grace. Sansa Stark cautiously knelt before Joffrey, her tone imbued with trepidation. As she lifted her gaze, Joffrey scrutinized her meticulously. Truly, she was a beauty, although merely 12 or 13 years of age. She had inherited the stunning looks of House Tully and the graceful stature of House Stark. Despite her youth, she possessed an elegant and elongated form, standing at least around 1.65 meters. Her vivid blue eyes and thick chestnut hair exuded femininity. Though still innocent, she radiated a distinct, pure beauty. Even her eyes, slightly reddened from weeping, were profoundly captivating. Joffrey helped her to her feet, saying, Arise, my queen. Your Majesty. Sansa trembled, a mix of fear and excitement coursing through her. I am the daughter of a traitor. I cannot possibly assume the role of queen. Joffrey recognized that Sansa, having endured a series of traumatic events, had buried her true feelings and secrets deep within. She was merely enduring and concealing her essence. In the future, she would rise to become the renowned Queen of the North. Alas, at present, She was nothing more than a caged canary, entirely at Joffrey's mercy, who could dispose of her at any moment he wished. Do you not hate me? Joffrey inquired. Sansa raised her head, revealing a tragic smile. I adore my Joffrey. Your Majesty, my father, he is a traitor, deserving of death. My brother and mother are the same. I shall never betray my beloved Joffrey. Joffrey caressed Sansa's delicate face, gazing intently into her ocean-like blue eyes. You are lying. Sansa, flustered, stammered. I am not, Your Majesty, my most beloved Majesty. Joffrey sighed and shook his head. I love you too, Sansa, but I am not my own master. Sansa bowed her head, yet her heart remained guarded. Look at me. The king of the Undulls, the Roiner, and the First Man, ruler of the Seven Kingdoms, protector of the realm. Such splendid titles, such melodious names. Yet, none of these belong to me. Joffrey spoke earnestly. At present, I am merely a puppet manipulated by House Lannister. Your Majesty. Sansa was taken aback. The Joffrey before her was entirely different from the one she had known. What was he doing? What purpose did his words serve? Was he still performing? Or rather, Sansa. From the moment I laid eyes on you, I was enamored. Joffrey suddenly took Sansa's small hand, causing her cheeks to flush with color. Though she loathed him for having executed her father, however, before this, Joffrey was indeed her beloved, the prince and princess. For this, she even deceived her father and her own sister. Seeing the panic in Sansa's eyes, Joffrey felt a secret joy within. She was still so naive. With just a few words, he had turned her heart into a tempest. No wonder, under the mere complaints and temptations of the Queen of Thorns, Olenna, she had revealed her secrets. I am powerless against your father's death. As he spoke, Joffrey's eyes glistened with unshed tears, as if he despised himself. Sansa cautiously inquired, Your Majesty, what is the meaning of this? It is the Lannisters. Joffrey gritted his teeth. It is Tywin Lannister, my grandfather, and my mother, Cersei Lannister. They covet the Iron Throne, wishing to become its true masters. I am merely a puppet in their hands. They used me to kill your father and summoned armies against House Stark, your brother and mother. I do not wish this, but I am powerless to change it. Sansa felt as though she had fallen into an icy abyss, instinctively beginning to see things from Joffrey's perspective. Indeed, when she first encountered His Majesty Joffrey, he was so courteous, so noble and kind. Even her father and mother had praised him and arranged a betrothal. She had secretly harbored feelings for him, just as she felt his warmth and affection for her now. Yet, recalling the earlier command to execute her father and the later, arrogant figure upon the Iron Throne, the two were hardly the same. Could it be that His Majesty Joffrey was truly being coerced by the Regent and the Duke of Casterly Rock, the Lannister family? Was it they who, through the hand of the one she loved most, Joffrey, killed her father, with the sole aim of seizing the Iron Throne? Had she misjudged His Majesty Joffrey? Sansa's mind spiraled with confusion. Joffrey had already taken the box handed to him by the Hound. Sansa, at this moment, your brother and my grandfather's army are at a standoff at the Trident. He cannot attend to matters in King's Landing, which is why I am discreetly informing you. This is your father's head. I shall return it to its rightful owner, or deliver it to your brother and mother. Rest assured, I will handle this matter with care. I swear it by our love. Sobbing uncontrollably while clutching the head of Eddard Stark, Sansa cried out, Father, brother, mother. Meanwhile, a mechanical voice echoed in Joffrey's mind. 5. The twins of Frey. Robb's choice. Days prior, at the Trident, Catelyn had stepped into the lands of House Frey, vassals to her own family, at the castle of the Riverlands. The Frey family's domain lay at the confluence of the Green Rivers. The North's advance towards King's Landing is inevitable, as this region holds immense geographical and military significance, a crucial thoroughfare for strategists. Robb Stark must traverse this land to confront Tywin Lannister's forces. Located at the heart of the Trident River, the town of Riverrun serves as the most suitable crossing point. 6 centuries ago, the Frey family was granted dominion over this area. They constructed bridges and 2 castles on either bank of the river, uniting them into a single entity known as Riverrun. At the center of the bridge stands a formidable tower, named the River Watch, equipped with arrow slits, murder holes, and iron gates, overseeing both the river and the road. Due to the strategic importance and strong fortifications of Riverrun, the Freys have profited handsomely by charging tolls to those who wish to cross. Consequently, the Frey family quickly rose to become one of the wealthiest and most powerful families in the Trident region, often outmaneuvering even their overlords. Their rapid ascent has drawn disdain from other families, who regard them as nouveau riche. The Frey family is also known as the Twin Towers of Frey. Catelyn took a deep breath, aware that Walder Frey would not be an easy adversary. However, to facilitate her army's crossing of the Trident, she had to negotiate in person. Within Riverrun, Walder Frey, with his silver hair and somber demeanor, reclined in a chair beside his newly-wed eighth wife, a mere 15-year-old girl, young, beautiful, and full of life. Though he felt the weight of age upon him, he could still sense the vitality radiating from her youthful form. "What brings you here?" Walder Frey asked, fixing his gaze upon Catelyn. "My lord, it brings me great joy to reunite after so many years," she replied. "Oh, spare me," Walder Frey retorted. "Your son, too noble to meet me in person, leaves me to deal with you. What am I to do? King of the North, indeed," he added, while caressing his eighth wife. Surrounding him were more than 20 figures, his sons, daughters, grandchildren. Suddenly, his eldest son, Stephen Frey, interjected, "Father, have you forgotten? Lady Stark is here because of your actions." "Who asked you?" Walder Frey snapped. "As long as I live, you are not the Lord of Frey. Do I look like a corpse to you?" Another voice chimed in. "Father, must you even scold my bastard regarding hospitality?" Without hesitation, Walder Frey responded, "If I hadn't sewn you into your mother's belly, she'd still be tending sheep." "Very well, I shall approach," Catelyn said, taking a deep breath as she stepped forward. Walder Frey casually kissed the back of Catelyn's hand. "There, I have offered my courtesy. Perhaps my sons could grant me the favor of keeping quiet?" Catelyn, suppressing her humiliation, replied, "Might we engage in a proper discussion?" "Are we not already in discussion?" shouted Walder Frey. "Leave. All of you. Depart at once." His descendants hastily exited, clearly unwilling to linger for another moment. With a sharp slap, Walder Frey admonished the young girl. "You too." Watching her retreating figure, he smirked. "Do you see? She is merely 15, like a delicate flower. Yet she is only to quench my thirst." Catelyn inhaled deeply. "I trust she will provide you with many sons." "Ah, your father did not attend my wedding. He is unwell, my lord. He missed my last wedding as well, and the one before that." Walder Frey interjected without hesitation. "Your family has always regarded me with disdain." "My lord, I do not deny it. You are well aware that I speak the truth. Lord Tully, in his lofty arrogance, refuses to unite with me. I fear there are reasons for that. I do not wish to hear your reasons. I simply want to marry off my children swiftly. This brood of rabbits is nearly overflowing the household." Finally, Walder Frey inquired, "What do you truly seek in coming to my home? I implore you to open the gates." "My lord," Catelyn earnestly replied, "allow my son and his army to cross the Trident and proceed to the front lines." Walder Frey asked without hesitation, "Why should I permit him to pass? If you can ascend your own walls, you shall see his 20,000 elite soldiers waiting outside. By the time Tywin Lannister arrives, they will be transformed into 20,000 corpses." Walder Frey scoffed. "Lady Stark, do not attempt to intimidate me. Your husband languishes in a dungeon beneath the Red Keep, and your son cannot even keep himself warm." Catelyn's gaze hardened. "You swore fealty to my father." "Indeed, I did," Walder Frey replied, "but if I recall correctly, I also pledged loyalty to the crown. Given that Joffrey is king, your boy and that horde of living corpses outside are nothing but traitors. Even fish know this. Logically, I should deliver you both to the Lannisters. Then why do you not act?" Walder Frey's tone shifted. "Stark, Tully, Lannister, Baratheon. Give me a compelling reason to involve myself in your affairs." Catelyn smiled. "Because my son is the king in the north." As dusk fell, Catelyn returned alone to the stronghold of the king in the north. Surrounded by numerous knights, she entered the military tent. "How did it go?" Robb asked. "Lord Walder has agreed to let you cross the river," Catelyn stated solemnly. Robb took a deep breath and exchanged glances with Great John, both nodding in unison. "His army is also yours. He will personally lead 400 men to defend the crossing and shield you from pursuing enemies." Robb understood that everything came with conditions, even loyalty and cooperation, especially among nobility. "What does he expect in return?" Catelyn remarked. "His son, Olivar, will serve as your personal squire. In due time, you shall bestow upon him the honor of knighthood." A personal squire is a trusted confidant of the nobility, and the status of a knight holds significant weight within the aristocratic hierarchy. The condition proposed by Walder Frey posed no disadvantage to Robb. "No problem," Robb readily agreed. Observing his mother's hesitance, he inquired, "Is there more?" Catelyn hesitated. "There is also Arya, who is to wed Lord Walder's son, Wylis, once they both come of age." Robb replied with a stoic expression, "She will not be pleased." After a prolonged silence, Robb's gaze grew more inquisitive. "Is there anything else?" Catelyn continued, "Once the war concludes, you shall also take one of his daughters as your bride. You may choose from his numerous suitable candidates." Walder Frey had at least a dozen daughters, with several aged between 12 and 18, ample for the Stark heir to select from. Robb nodded slightly, recognizing Walder Frey's cunning. By marrying his son to Arya, Walder would forge familial ties with both the Starks and the Lannisters. Regardless of which faction emerged victorious, he would possess leverage and standing in negotiations. Moreover, Allowing Robb the privilege of choosing a daughter as a wife signified his acknowledgement of Robb's status as the king in the north, an investment indeed. At the very least, the position of Queen of the North would be secured. If, by chance, Robb were to conquer King's Landing and defeat the Lannisters to ascend the Iron Throne, then his daughter would become the Queen of Westeros. In every conceivable scenario, Walder Frey stood to gain immensely. Robb instinctively asked, "Have you seen what they look like?" At this, Theon Greyjoy chuckled, for this inquiry signified Robb's tacit acceptance of Walder Frey's terms. Catelyn smiled. "I have seen them. Well, there is one who is quite lovely." The implication regarding the others was clear. "Do you consent?" "Can I refuse?" Robb queried. Catelyn shook her head. "Then you shall not cross the river." "In that case, I agree." Robb responded decisively. The Frey family allied themselves with the northern forces, dispatching over 2,000 knights to join Robb Stark's Grand Army. In this campaign, Robb Stark achieved a remarkable victory at minimal cost, defeating the Lannister forces led by Jaime Lannister and capturing the eldest son of the Lannister family himself. Catelyn and Robb rejoiced, believing they could leverage Jaime Lannister to negotiate the return of Eddard and his 2 daughters. Alas, what awaited them was the grim tidings of Eddard Stark's beheading on the front lines. In the Northern Army's encampment, the noble families of Bolton, Stark, Umber, Manderley, Hornwood, Karstark, Dustin, Reed, Flint, and Locke, along with over 30 lords, earls, marquises, and knights, were engaged in fervent discussion. Catelyn Tully, her face etched with sorrow, wandered alone across the grassy expanse. My lady, various knights bowed respectfully as they passed. The news of Eddard Stark's demise had reached the Stark family in their camp. Slay them. Leave no trace. Annihilate the Lannisters and the people of King's Landing. Kill Jaime Lannister. Avenge Lord Eddard. In the deep of night, within Robb's encampment, heated debates erupted among the 30 noble lords. The situation had become evident. They were to support Gendry's claim to the throne and march south to join forces with him. Gendry cannot ascend the throne. One asserted, "Surely, you do not wish to support Joffrey, my lord. He is the one who condemned your father to death." That does not justify Gendry's claim. Robb, now composed, interjected. "He is my brother, and just as Bran cannot claim Winterfell before me, Gendry cannot ascend before Stannis. Are you implying we should support Stannis as king?" Another questioned. "Gendry is not an option." The cacophony of voices rose in confusion. Some favored Gendry, while others leaned towards Stannis. Jon Umber stepped forward, declaring, "Gendry and the Baratheons are but insignificant. Stannis is no better." Before their expedition, Jon had clashed with Robb, who stood unflinching in response. Particularly fierce was Robb's direwolf, Grey Wind, who had even bitten off 2 of Jon's fingers. Yet this very conflict had only deepened Jon's loyalty to Robb Stark. To the Northerners, as the Lord of Winterfell and the Duke of the North, Robb was expected to be resolute and merciless. Why should they sit comfortably upon their thrones in the south while they rule over me and my brethren? What do they truly know of the Wall or the Wolfswood? Their god is not even a true deity. Jon's fervent words evoked laughter among many noble lords. Why can we not declare ourselves kings? Jon's tone shifted abruptly. We once bowed beneath the true dragon, but that dragon is now dead. With a swift motion, he drew his sword, pointing it at Robb Stark. Here stands a king to whom I am willing to pledge my loyalty, the king in the north. Amidst Jon's impassioned shout and his kneeling, another lord rose, proclaiming, I concur. Let them retain their red keep and throne. Clang. Another knight's sword was drawn. Long live the king in the north. Theon Greyjoy rose to his feet. From this moment forth, am I still your brother? Forever. Clang. From this day forward, regardless of success or failure, I pledge my undying loyalty to you until my last breath. Long live the king in the north. Clang. Long live the king in the north. Clang. Long live the king in the north. In the north, beyond the wall, Jon, Sam, and several companions knelt before the weirwood tree, undeterred by the swirling snow. A solemn and impassioned vow resonated through the air. I swear here and now, the long night approaches, and from this day forth, I shall watch until death. I shall take no wife, hold no lands, sire no children. I shall wear no crown, nor seek glory. I shall remain steadfast in my duty, in life and death. I am the sword in the darkness, the watchman on the wall, the iron guard of the realm. I dedicate my life and my honor to the Night's Watch. This night, and every night henceforth. The Night's Watch behind him nodded. When you knelt, you were but children. When you rise, you are Night's Watchmen. The group stood, embracing one another. Well done. Well done. A howl escaped Jon's lips, though his smile seemed somewhat strained. He had not become a ranger, but rather the Lord Commander's steward. Though Sam's words had brought him clarity, he could not shake the lingering thoughts of the rangers, particularly news of his uncle, Benjen Stark. Jon sensed something and turned back. His dire wolf, Ghost, approached, carrying something in his mouth. What do you have, Ghost? Bring it here. At Jon's command, Ghost dropped the object at his feet, a severed hand. Oh, heavens! Several hours later, they retrieved 2 bodies from the snowy woods, the corpses of Night's Watch Rangers. After deliberation, Lord Commander Jeor Mormont led the Rangers northward, determined to seek out Benjen Stark, living or dead. Simultaneously, he aimed to investigate what transpired beyond the wall. Meanwhile, across the Trident, news of Jaime Lannister's capture by the Northern forces and Robb Stark's declaration as king in the north reached the Lannister encampment. In a warm meeting room, several prominent members of House Lannister gathered around a grand table. Tywin Lannister and his cunning son, Tyrion Lannister, awaited the arrival of the true head of House Lannister. Duke of Casterly Rock, Guardian of the West, grandfather of the king, the outburst of Tywin Lannister. My son is in their hands. Tyrion pounded the table. The Stark boy is not as tender as we had anticipated. I have heard that his wolf has slain a dozen living men and war horses. Is it true what they say about Stannis and Renly? Are the 2 brothers of House Baratheon our enemies? Kevin exclaimed. Jaime has been captured, and his army has been defeated. This is truly a calamitous turn of events. Perhaps we should seek peace at once. He glanced towards Tywin Lannister. His words rendered the tent silent. The current situation is exceedingly unfavorable for House Lannister. To the north, our forces were vanquished by House Stark, and the commander Jaime Lannister has been taken prisoner. To the east, on Dragonstone, Stannis Baratheon has amassed a great army, poised to strike. To the south, the Duke of Storm's End, Renly Baratheon, has allied with House Tyrell of Highgarden, marching towards King's Landing. House Lannister is besieged on 3 fronts. One misstep could lead to utter ruin. Tyrion unhesitatingly overturned his wine cup. The sharp sound of shattering glass drew everyone's attention. This is the consequence of seeking peace. Ever since Joffrey severed Eddard Stark's head, all prospects of negotiation have been obliterated. Convincing Robb Stark to sit at the negotiating table is more challenging than pouring this wretched wine. He currently holds the upper hand, have you not noticed? Kevin awkwardly replied. I meant we still have his 2 sisters in our grasp. The immediate priority is to secure Jaime's release. We cannot afford a ceasefire. We must not be underestimated. We should march forthwith. A Lannister always pays his debts. We must return to Casterly Rock to regroup. My son is in their hands. Tywin's roar interrupted the heated arguments among those present. Withdraw, all of you. Leave at once. Several high-ranking Lannisters fell silent and rose to depart, except for one. Tyrion paused, carefully turned around, and returned to his seat. Just as he intended to pour himself a drink, Tywin pressed down on his arm, personally filling his cup with wine. Tyrion was taken aback, cautiously glancing at his father. Tywin intently stated, regarding Eddard Stark, your judgment is sound. If he still lives, we could use him to negotiate a truce with Winterfell and Riverrun, thereby freeing our hands to confront Robert's 2 brothers. It is madness, both insane and foolish. Tywin was utterly disenchanted with his once proud daughter. What kind of folly is this? He turned to Tyrion. I always believed you were destined for mere jests. Yet it seems I was mistaken. Partially mistaken, Tyrion weakly replied. I am not particularly adept at strategy, yet unless we wish to be encircled by enemies on all sides, it would be prudent to avoid lingering here. No one will remain in this place for long. Tywin remarked, Sir Gregor will depart with 500 knights, turning the lands between the God's Eye and the Red Fork into scorched earth. The rest will regroup at Harrenhal. This course of action aims to delay the pursuit of the northern forces and to consolidate our strength anew. As for you, you shall be dispatched to King's Landing. Tyrion, taken aback, inquired, for what purpose? To rule, Tywin replied earnestly. You will take my place as Hand of the King. Tyrion was momentarily speechless, unable to fathom his ears. You must oversee that little king, and if necessary, his mother as well. Once you gather sufficient evidence that the remaining few dare to play both sides against us, Baelish, Varys, and Pycelle, behead them, impale their heads on spikes, and hang them from the city walls. Tyrion interjected, why not send Uncle? Why not someone else? Why me? Because you are my son, Tywin stated matter-of-factly. Tyrion was struck dumb, gazing at Tywin, for it was the first time he had heard such an admission from him. For a moment, he found himself at a loss for words. Tywin rose and paced toward the door. Oh, and one more thing. You are not to bring that whore into the palace. Do you understand? Tyrion remained silent. That night, accompanied by the mercenary Bronn, the horse Shay, and a dozen knights of House Lannister, Tyrion set forth on the road to King's Landing. Across the narrow sea, in the Red Waste, Daenerys, with her dwindling band of fewer than 200 Dothraki, stepped alone into the roaring flames. She intended to be buried alongside her great Khal Drogo. Ever since Drogo and her child had perished at the hands of the witch, her heart had been extinguished. Jorah Mormont, her devoted admirer, could do nothing but watch helplessly as his beloved entered the inferno. After a night of burning, as the morning star began to rise, everyone was astonished to discover a figure still crouched in the center of the pyre. Ura trembled as he approached, and through the haze, he discerned the silhouette, Daenerys Targaryen. Suddenly, 3 discordant, metallic screeches pierced the air, unlike any human sound, as 3 diminutive dragons, no larger than puppies, emerged from Daenerys' embrace. The Dothraki stood in shock and disbelief, slowly kneeling. Blood of my blood! Blood of my blood! Blood of my blood! The storm is born, mother of dragons, Daenerys Targaryen, has arrived in the vast grasslands. The ominous sign of a blood-red comet heralds chaos in the heavens on this night. Upon the ground of shattered stone and crimson sand, a brilliant scarlet comet appears in the sky, illuminating the earth with a sanguine hue under the glow of the blood star. All beings across the continents of Westeros, Essos, Sithorios, and Ulthos behold this celestial phenomenon. The Dothraki Sea, the Valyrian Peninsula, Slaver's Bay, Qarth, Astapor, and the numerous islands including Great Morak are no exceptions. Such a bizarre astral occurrence incites the ambitions of many lords and power-hungry individuals across the lands. In King's Landing, the newly anointed Emperor Joffrey I, under the manipulation of Grand Maester Pycelle, proclaims this comet as a harbinger of blood, announcing the birth of the new king who shall lead Westeros towards a magnificent future. Indeed, the new king speaks of himself. However, due to the rebellion of the Stark, Tully, Tyrell, Baratheon, and Greyjoy houses, the prices in King's Landing and its surrounding cities soar, leaving the populace in dire straits. The Queen, Cersei Lannister, and her brother, Jaime Lannister, are embroiled in scandalous rumors regarding the birth of Joffrey Baratheon, which Stannis has publicly exposed to the world. The entire continent of Westeros is now aware of this disgrace. These combined factors have led to an eruption of discontent among the citizens of King's Landing and its vicinity. Many refer to it as the Bloodsword. The Bloodsword, steeped in blood and fire, is seen as a sign from the heavens and the gods punishing Cersei and her son, alongside the Lannister family. Following a resounding victory in the Whispering Woods, where they captured the eldest son of the Lannisters, Jaime Lannister, the young Wolf Lord, Robb Stark, declares himself king in the north, with his sword pointed directly at King's Landing, aspiring to seize the Iron Throne. Jon Umber, a trusted ally of Robb Stark, steps forward, laughing as he declares, "Look, that comet and its trailing tail resemble a banner stained with blood. Our northern wolves shall surely rend the Lannisters and their puppet stag from King's Landing, painting the land red." Meanwhile, in the Tully lands along the Trident River, Edmure Tully, the young lord of Riverrun, excitedly believes that the comet symbolizes a white fish leaping from the blue waters of the river. With Robb Stark proclaiming himself king in the north, it is only natural for the Tully house, being of kin to Robb, to rally beneath the banner of the North's king. The Tully family has dominated Riverrun for nearly a millennium, serving various kings, yet has never claimed the title of king themselves, confined to their modest domain. As the eldest son of House Tully, Edmure yearns to achieve something significant for his family, especially with his nephew Robb Stark declaring himself king in the north, aiming his forces at King's Landing and the Lannister lands. Edmund Tully perceived this as a fortuitous opportunity on the Iron Islands. Unfamiliar with the concepts of honor and reputation, the audacious pirate, Balon Greyjoy, proclaimed loudly to his vassals, "This is an omen for our Ironborn, a blazing torch akin to the heroes of our ancestors. The drowned god brings forth a flame from the sea, heralding the surging tides to come. The Greyjoy family shall rebel once more, declaring themselves kings and marching forth to besiege Beijing. They shall unleash swords and fire upon the world, Ironborn." In the ancestral lands of House Targaryen, on Dragonstone, where Daenerys Targaryen was born, the Red Priestess Melisandre, surrounded by flames, revealed to the current Duke of Dragonstone, Stannis Baratheon, "This is the dragon's flame, the blood-weeping star. The prophecy is destined to unfold through you." Clad in crimson robes, her wine-red hair danced in the wind, with a strikingly pale bosom. Her vibrant red lips and eyes shone captivatingly against the dark night sky. After a long summer, the stars weep blood, and a chilling darkness shall envelop the world. In this terrifying hour, a warrior will draw forth a burning sword from the flames. That sword is the harbinger of light, the red arrow of heroes, and its bearer shall be the reincarnation of the Lightbringer, Azor Ahai, destined to banish the darkness. Now, as the long summer draws to a close and the blood-weeping star appears, Azor Ahai shall be reborn in the land of smoke and salt, awakening the dragons of stone. Melisandre spoke in an enchanting tone, "Your Grace, you are the one foretold in the prophecy, the reincarnation of Azor Ahai, destined to save the world. Alas, why must it be me?" Stannis Baratheon gritted his teeth. "I only wish to be a good brother and a loyal subject, safeguarding the realm for the king. Why must I bear the burden of kingship?" Meanwhile, in Storm's End, the newly crowned king, Renly Baratheon, ascended the throne with the support of the noble Tyrell family and numerous vassals. The Tyrell family's jewel, the lovely Rose, Margaery Tyrell, became Renly's queen. Unfortunately, Renly's affections lay with Margaery's brother, for they were the true lovers. Noblemen and soldiers gazed at the blood-weeping star in the sky, engaging in fervent discussions. Clad in a floral crown and elegant attire, Margaery Tyrell softly remarked, "That is a gift from the heavens and the gods for the wedding of Renly and me. The blood-red roses raining down signify the eternal friendship and love between our houses, Tyrell and Baratheon." Renly's face lit up with joy, and the entire Storm's End, along with the Tyrell family, rejoiced. It was a divine gift. Otherwise, why would such a blood-weeping celestial phenomenon occur during the wedding of Renly and Margaery Tyrell? The Martell of Dorne, the Night's Watch on the Wall, and Bravos seem to have provided a plausible explanation for the blood-red comet, a portent. At this moment, in King's Landing, power reigns supreme. The cunning Petyr Baelish strides confidently along the royal avenue. The War of the Five Kings is, indeed, quite fascinating. Cersei Lannister, surrounded by 4 knights from noble houses, intercepts him. "Lord Baelish, your majesty, there is a matter on which I seek your assistance." "Of course, your majesty. We are unaware of the whereabouts of Eddard Stark's youngest daughter, Arya." Baelish muses, "It is likely that she has fled King's Landing, with Winterfell being the most reasonable refuge. However, my northern allies have not reported any sightings of her." Curious. If we were to consider negotiations with the Starks, this girl holds considerable value. Cersei responds, "Whoever finds her must be sought after." Naturally, you are aware of the saying that a Lannister always pays his debts. Baelish casually suggests, "Perhaps you could inquire with Varys if he knows her whereabouts. He may possess the answer." Regardless of your trust in him, I find it ever challenging to discern the intentions of the new spymasters. Who knows what they truly desire? Cersei chuckles, eyeing the trinket hanging from Baelish's neck. "A mockingbird? Your own sigil, is it?" Baelish hails from the Riverlands, under the jurisdiction of House Tully. Indeed, merely an inconsequential house, he reflects, a background he finds intolerable. Thus, he has relied on his intellect to ascend to the position of Master of Coin, harboring great ambition in this game of power. Yes, Cersei nods, "It suits you well, as a self-made man, to be so silver-tongued. I am pleased you appreciate it. Some are fortunate in their previous lives, born into illustrious families, while others must rely on their own efforts." Cersei remains unfazed. "I once heard a ballad about a low-born boy who sought to integrate into a noble family. He fell in love with the eldest daughter, but alas, her heart belonged to another." Baelish inhales deeply, knowing Cersei speaks of him. "When a boy and girl reside under the same roof, awkward situations are inevitable. I have heard that even siblings can develop feelings for one another. When such affections become known, it is undeniably awkward." Cersei's expression shifts, especially for a prominent family, yet they often overlook a simple truth. Baelish cryptically states, "As far as I know," Cersei inquires, "what truth?" "Information is power." Cersei nodded slightly, a cold smile gracing her lips as she stepped back. "Seize him." The 4 knights behind her swiftly advanced, efficiently capturing Petyr Baelish. His expression shifted dramatically, fear etched across his face. The woman before him was utterly deranged. "Slice his throat." One of the knights drew a dagger, showing no hesitation as he aimed for Baelish's throat. "Stop. Wait." Cersei interjected with a smile, "I have changed my mind. Release him." The knights immediately loosened their grip. "Step back 3 paces. They complied without question. "Turn around. Close your eyes." Cersei proclaimed with a triumphant expression, "Power is strength. With Joffrey's name day approaching, I expect you to manage it well. Do you understand? Demonstrate our might and grandeur to the populace and our allies." Baelish gasped. "As you command, your grace." Within the Red Keep, Joffrey, animated with excitement, accompanied Sandor to an open courtyard. At this moment, the power within the Red Keep was firmly held by Cersei, Baelish, Varys, and Pycelle, with Cersei at the forefront. Utilizing Joffrey's name, she commanded the small council. Baelish, Varys, and Pycelle all bowed to her authority, particularly Pycelle. This famed frail old man was a sycophant of House Lannister, venerating none other than Tywin Lannister, the Duke of Casterly Rock and protector of the Westerlands. As for Varys, he secretly conspired with Illyrio, the governor of Pentos, one of the free cities of Essos, in support of the Targaryen lineage. Regrettably, the Targaryen family now consisted solely of Daenerys Targaryen, who found herself in dire straits. Presently, he was lost in confusion. In contrast, Baelish harbored the greatest ambition among the trio. Notably, a seat at the small council was also held by Janos Slynt, the captain of the City Watch, infamous for betraying Eddard Stark, being exiled to the Wall by Tyrion, and eventually executed by Jon Snow. Recently elevated to the title of Lord of Harrenhal, he was a favored ally of Cersei. Together, These five now wielded control over the myriad affairs of King's Landing, while Joffrey remained unattended, merely a boy yet to reach maturity. On the main thoroughfare of the Red Keep, Joffrey strolled leisurely, flanked closely by his sworn shields. Sandor and Meryn. Ser Sandor, Ser Meryn, what do you suppose my mother and the others are doing now? The Hound, Sandor, replied in a gravelly voice, Your Grace. I do not know. Perhaps they are deliberating on how to assist Lord Tywin in repelling the northern forces. And you, Ser Meryn? Joffrey inquired, turning to Meryn. A knight of modest stature, yet formidable presence, adorned in an exquisite suit of armor that includes a finely crafted golden-threaded white scale mail. A lofty golden helm crowned with rays of sunlight, as well as gleaming iron greaves, throat guards, gauntlets, and long boots. Over this imposing attire, he drapes a heavy woolen cloak embellished with a golden lion clasp. This is Ser Meryn Trant, a member of King Joffrey's Kingsguard. If Sandor Clegane, known as the Hound, embodies a warrior with a semblance of integrity, Meryn Trant, on the other hand, is marked by cunning and cruelty, loyal solely to Cersei Lannister and Joffrey Baratheon. Under Joffrey's command, he has struck Sansa Stark and has even pursued Arya Stark. Yet, he is undeniably valiant, having closely protected Joffrey during the Battle of Blackwater. In summation, aside from his cruelty and cunning, Meryn Trant is deemed a competent Kingsguard. Upon hearing Joffrey's inquiry, Meryn Trant smiled. Your Grace, the Queen Mother may be preparing for your name day. The name day, indeed, is akin to a birthday in the realm of Westeros. Joffrey, on this particular name day, would infamously drown a tardy knight in wine over a trivial matter, though he was thwarted by Sansa Stark. Now, Sansa's perception of him has undergone a profound transformation. Such an event shall not transpire. Moreover, he would also encounter his uncle, the imp, Tyrion Lannister, at his name day celebration. As Joffrey gently caressed the hilt of his newly acquired sword, a faint smile crossed his lips. This blade, the Lightbringer, is the ancestral sword of House Lannister. Forged from a blend of Valyrian steel and other precious metals, capable of slicing through iron as if it were mere clay. It had unexpectedly been bestowed upon him as a reward. A decade prior, Tywin Lannister's brother, Kevan Lannister, had led the family's forces across the sea to the Valyrian Peninsula in search of the family's legendary treasures, the Valyrian steel sword, Lightbringer. This sword, with a width of a hand's breadth and a length of approximately 5 feet, is nearly equivalent to the height of a man. Its blade is remarkably resilient and sharp, glinting with a chilling gleam. This sword bears a striking resemblance to the ancestral sword of House Stark, Ice, a true weapon of war, designed for the tumult of battle. However, in contemporary nobility, few would wield a Valyrian steel sword for combat. They are often treated as mere ornamental pieces or heirlooms. Tywin had once expended considerable effort searching for Lightbringer after its loss, even contemplating a substantial expenditure to acquire another Valyrian steel sword from some obscure, impoverished house. Undoubtedly, the rejection was pronounced. Subsequently, Tywin acquired the Valyrian steel sword of House Stark, known as Ice. Regrettably, the Stark family, situated in the north, did not cherish their Valyrian steel sword as a treasured heirloom like other families. Instead, they wielded ice as a mere weapon, severing countless heads. This frequent use led to considerable wear and tear on the sword. Unsatisfied with ice, Tywin sought out the most renowned blacksmith, melted down the sword, and forged 2 new Valyrian longswords. One was named Oathkeeper and bestowed upon Jaime Lannister, eventually falling into the hands of the fair maiden, Brienne. The other was a gift to Joffrey, named Widow's Wail, though it had yet to reach him. Sandor, your majesty, what is your command? Joffrey inquired. Who is stronger, you or my uncle Jaime Lannister? The Hound, Sandor, paused momentarily. Ser Jaime, hailing from House Lannister, has been instructed by the finest teachers since childhood. He surely surpasses me. Is that so? Joffrey mused, stroking the blade of Lightbringer. Ser Sandor, Ser Meryn, you shall compete before me. Whoever prevails will receive a reward. Meryn's eyes gleamed with excitement. Yes, your majesty. The Hound readily agreed. Though both were Kingsguard, they had never before engaged in a trial of skill. Sandor, the Hound, pledged his loyalty to House Lannister, while Meryn was devoted to Robert Baratheon and now pledged to Joffrey Baratheon. Clang, clang. The two drew their swords, and under the sun's radiance, the blades shimmered with a cold glint. Huh, Meryn bellowed, charging at the Hound without hesitation, his sword aimed directly at him. Clang. The Hound deftly blocked the strike, sparks flying. With a powerful shove, he sent Meryn staggering back. A horizontal slash followed, further pushing Meryn away in disarray. The Hound advanced with great strides, delivering another downward strike. Meryn struggled to defend himself as their swords clashed, producing a sharp, ringing sound. Stumbling backward, the Hound, like a bear, pressed forward once more. His right arm crashed into Meryn's chest, sending him flying. Both the Hound and Meryn were clad in full armor, nearly encased in steel. Such an assault felt no more than a tickle to them. The heavy cavalry, fully armored, leaving only their eyes exposed. When such a unit appears on the battlefield, it is an unabashed killing machine. The duel between the two now resembles two tin cans colliding against each other. After a few minutes of this, Joffrey found it utterly tedious. What is this? Two adults are merely exchanging blows. You strike me, I strike you. There is no grace in it at all. Finally, after several minutes, Marlon Tarlon could no longer withstand the onslaught. He collapsed onto the ground, unable to move, with blood trickling through the gaps in his helmet. Yet, even so, he struggled to rise, his eyes aflame with fury. Your Majesty, Sandor Clegane, the Hound, approached Joffrey. Is this how your Kingsguard trains? Is there not a single technique or swordplay involved? Techniques? Swordplay? Sandor Clegane queried, perplexed. Are you referring to those treacherous sword techniques? Such moves are reserved for mercenaries or court swordsmen. We adhere to the true chivalric code. They may strike us 100 times, but we shall not allow them to land a single blow. Joffrey recalled the battle between Prince Oberyn Martell, the Red Viper, and the Mountain. Unarmored, utilizing his agile speed and cunning spear, he had vanquished the Mountain. Yet, in his arrogance, he failed to guard his position and was ultimately captured, his skull crushed. There was also Ser Quentin, the court swordsman who taught Arya. He attempted to intervene when Marlon Tarlon was capturing Arya, but his wooden sword merely tickled Marlon Tarlon, who easily defeated him and ultimately claimed his life. In Westeros, it is the heavy cavalry, the armored knights, who represent the true path to power. How do you train? Then, are there inherent requirements regarding physique and insight? Sandor Clegane hesitated, replying, Your Majesty, I know not what insight means. Our training begins from a young age, burdening ourselves, fencing, and combat, relying solely on experience and exercise. Strength, speed, and experience are what forge a formidable knight. Joffrey suddenly understood. It was indeed the diversity of cultures that birthed different forms of warfare. Your character does not merit such a position. Sir Marlon, do you require a moment's respite? Joffrey inquired with concern as they walked the corridor. Thank you for your concern, Your Majesty. I am well, Marlon Tarlon responded, taking a deep breath. Having been bested by Sandor Clegane, he quickly recovered. Such injuries meant little to knights like them. That is good to hear. Go summon a few guards. We are to meet someone, Joffrey commanded. Do not bring the gold cloaks. Marlon Tarlon paused momentarily but respectfully answered, As you wish, Your Majesty. Soon thereafter, four knights approached Joffrey. Your Majesty, very well, follow me, Joffrey commanded. Sandor, take me to see Janos Slynt. Yes, Your Majesty. They arrived at a grand hall. The captain of the city watch, Janos Slynt, who had been waiting for quite some time, quickly came forward. Janos Slynt, captain of the King's Landing City Watch. The newly appointed Duke of Harrenhal was also the executioner who betrayed Eddard Stark and killed Robert Baratheon under orders. Although he acted under Cersei and Joffrey's commands, he was no virtuous man himself. As the commander of the City Watch, he neglected his duties and frequently consorted with the likes of Peter Baelish, engaging in bribery and the sale of positions. He had a notorious reputation for openly pricing the positions within the City Watch and other city defense forces. Moreover, he secretly embezzled funds, amassing a considerable fortune. Such a person was clearly unfit to serve as the commander of the City Watch. Your Majesty, I have faithfully executed your orders, Janos said respectfully. Those little bastards you commanded me to kill have been dealt with. Lord Janos, Joffrey interrupted. The duty of the City Watch is to safeguard the peace of King's Landing and the safety of its citizens. The safety of the citizens? Janos hesitated, then followed Joffrey's lead, stating, Indeed, Your Majesty. The safety of Your Majesty, the Queen, and all the esteemed lords, as well as the lives of the citizens of King's Landing, has always been the sacred duty of the City Watch. However, I have heard it said that your actions do not befit the title of City Watch Commander. What? Janos was taken aback, then indignantly replied, Impossible. Your Majesty, I am utterly loyal to you and the Queen. I would never betray you. Who dares to slander me? Varys? Or Peter? Your Majesty, you must not heed the words of such scoundrels. Joffrey replied coldly. I was unaware that maintaining the city's safety required the slaughter of infants. Your Majesty, Janos faltered, instinctively saying, I acted under your orders. My orders? Is there any documentation? Joffrey inquired. Or is there a trusted official present? Perhaps Maester Pycelle has a record? Janos sensed something was amiss. Though Westeros did not have the saying of the birds are gone, the bows are hidden, he felt the tension. You killed several youths in broad daylight. And what of the infants hidden in brothels? Do you comprehend how your actions are perceived by the people of King's Landing? Joffrey shouted angrily, You have made me. Joffrey, I lose all semblance of wisdom. With a sudden thud, Janos instinctively knelt down. Your Majesty, this is a grave injustice. I have been unwaveringly loyal to you. I am the Duke of Harrenburg, bestowed upon me by your Majesty Cheen himself. I have dutifully executed that command. I have sworn my allegiance to you. Unwavering loyalty? Joffrey replied coldly. I recall that when Eddard Stark became Hand of the King and entered the throne room, you also pledged your fealty to him. Duke of Harrenburg? Your character does not merit such a title. I dare not accept your professed loyalty any longer. Sandor, your Majesty, arrest him. Clang. Janos instinctively drew his longsword. Clang, clang, clang. Sandor, Malin, and the knights of House Baratheon also reflexively unsheathed their swords, encircling Janos. In despair, he cried out, Your Majesty, I was following your orders to kill those wretches. You cannot do this. Joffrey, indifferent, replied, It was not I who issued that command. Seize him. No. I demand to see the Queen. I must see the Queen. The Hound charged forward without hesitation, swiftly bringing Janos down to the ground. As the captain of the city watch, he should not have been so feeble. However, a life of privilege, especially after being elevated to the status of Duke of Harrenburg, had rendered him unaccustomed to physical confrontation. Thus, he was easily overpowered. Your Majesty, I must see the Queen. Damn it. Your Majesty, spare me. I am willing to go to the wall. Silence him. Joffrey commanded. The wall has no need of a man who knows nothing of loyalty or honor. Announce his crimes at the Great September of Baelor for treason and the assassination of the king and condemn him to death. Yes, Your Majesty. Muffled cries of MMM. MMM. And sobs filled the air as Janos, silenced, struggled frantically but could not escape the Hound's grasp. He was easily apprehended and dragged outside. Awaiting him was the gallows. I shall use your head to proclaim to all of King's Landing and the realm of Westeros. Joffrey declared coldly. I, Joffrey Baratheon, am no longer the Joffrey I once was. Ding. Congratulations, host, on capturing the captain of the city watch of King's Landing, Janos Slynt. Punishing treachery, cleansing the court. Increases national fortune. Reward obtained. 300 Spartans. 300 Spartans? Joffrey's eyes lit up. A national fortune reward. A special unit. Wait. The 300 Spartans. Joffrey exclaimed in surprise. Is this referring to the valiant 300 who defended against the Persian army of 500,000 at Thermopylae? He inquired, System, where are the 300 Spartans? Yet, 300 living souls suddenly appearing would surely raise suspicions, would it not? Rest assured, all rewards obtained by the host will be connected to this world. The current identity of the 300 Spartan warriors is that of loyal retainers secretly trained by Robert Baratheon at Storm's End, now having arrived at the Red Keep. Sworn to lifelong loyalty to the host. The host may summon them at any time. This arrangement is commendable. Joffrey's eyes gleamed with excitement. No one would suspect that Robert Baratheon had prepared such a hidden strength for Joffrey before his demise. After all, Robert Baratheon was the king who had overthrown the Targaryen dynasty. It is hardly excessive to possess one or two secret forces at his command. Ser Meryn, the king inquired. Has a group of soldiers claiming to be Spartans sought me in recent days? Ser Meryn pondered briefly before responding, Yes, your grace. They assert they are the private soldiers of your father, King Robert, and arrived at the Red Keep yesterday, awaiting an audience. Excellent. Summon them forth, commanded Joffrey. At once. Your grace. Ser Meryn hurriedly departed. Before long, a towering figure with bronze skin and a muscular physique, clad in red leather, entered. He approached Joffrey and knelt respectfully, stating, Esteemed your grace Joffrey, I am a retainer of your father, King Robert Baratheon. Upon his passing, he commanded us to come to King's Landing and pledge our loyalty to you. I, Leonidas, lead the 300 Spartan warriors in offering our fealty to your grace. Joffrey gestured for him to rise. Stand up, Lord Leonidas. Leonidas? The commander of the 300 Spartans? That famed Spartan king from history? With an army of only 300, he had impeded 500,000 Persian troops at Thermopylae, slaying tens of thousands of them without retreating, even in total annihilation. Such tenacity and loyalty in battle could only be rivaled by the unsullied of Essos. Indeed, your grace. Joffrey's gaze shifted, and the attributes of Leonidas manifested before him. Name, Leonidas. Title, Commander of the Spartan Warriors. Ethnicity, Spartan. Strength, 96. Intelligence, 88. Politics, 63. Military, 91. Skills, Noble Etiquette 4. Swordsmanship 8. Archery 7. Spear Mastery 9. Horsemanship 3. Special Skill 1. Foreign Command. Increases personal strength by 25 points and military by 13 points when opposing foreign foes. Special Skill 2. Protector. When the sovereign is threatened or harmed, personal strength increases by 5 points, lasting 3 minutes. Loyalty, 100. a strength value of 96, an intelligence of 88, a military prowess of 91. This attribute is truly formidable, Joffrey remarked in astonishment. A paragon of both literary and martial prowess. One cannot help but wonder about the attributes of the other Kingsguard. Alas, they are native characters and not ones recruited by me, thus their attributes remain shrouded in mystery. Joffrey inquired, "What of your comrades?" "They are currently at the relay station, awaiting your command, your majesty," Leonidas replied. "Though we Spartans number merely 300. We have undergone rigorous training since childhood. Each of us can stand against 100 foes. Wherever your sword points, that shall be our place of valiant charge." Marintel's countenance darkened, his gaze laced with disdain. How dare these country bumpkins speak with such bravado? Do they truly consider themselves Kingsguard? Very well. I have a task that requires your attention, Joffrey contemplated inwardly. I have just relieved Janos of his position as captain of the city guard and stripped him of his title as Duke of Harrenberg. The captaincy of the city guard now lies vacant. I require you to assume this role. Leonidas's eyes sparkled with delight. Though he had been recruited by Joffrey, he was still a living being, yearning for a promising future and position. The captaincy of the city guard was of paramount importance to the entire city of King's Landing. He immediately pledged, "Thank you, your majesty. I swear to exert every effort to safeguard your person and the Red Keep." Joffrey nodded slightly. "I trust in your strength and loyalty." It was a given. Leonidas was the king of Sparta, accomplished in martial prowess, military strategy, and political acumen. To manage a mere city guard seemed a waste of his talents. Unfortunately, he found himself with scant capable individuals at his disposal. Those eligible for the royal council were anything but trustworthy. He would not place his faith in them. Beyond ensuring the safety of the Red Keep, you have another task. Please elucidate, your majesty. The city guard was previously under Janos's command, who engaged in corrupt practices, accepting bribes and fostering a toxic environment. I require you to expeditiously eliminate Janos's loyalists from the city guard and purge those unworthy, who occupy positions merely for show or who bought their way in. Recruit new soldiers and train them swiftly, so they may rapidly attain proficiency. Can you accomplish this? Leonidas promptly affirmed, "Your majesty, rest assured. I shall oversee the city guard with utmost diligence, even at the cost of my own life." "Excellent," Joffrey nodded, visibly pleased. At that moment suddenly, a commotion erupted at the entrance of the throne room, as several figures hastily made their way inside. Joffrey furrowed his brow. This was the throne room, the most crucial domain of the Red Keep. Who possessed such audacity? Before long, a stunning young woman, adorned in a fiery red gown, with radiant golden hair and emerald green eyes, rushed in. "Joffrey, I have heard that Lord Janos has been apprehended by you." Cersei Lannister, upon receiving reports of Joffrey's actions, hastened to confront him. Ever since Robert Baratheon had met his untimely demise due to her machinations, coupled with Eddard Stark's arrest, Cersei had felt an overwhelming sense of clarity. The sky appeared infinitely azure, and the flowers, vibrantly resplendent. However, following Joffrey's sudden decree of execution for Eddard Stark, the situation spiraled beyond her control. Initially, she had believed that her son Joffrey, after ascending to the throne, would remain obedient to her counsel. To her dismay, he had become the most rebellious of rulers. He had first executed Eddard Stark, inciting rebellion across the north, Dragonstone, Highgarden, and the Iron Islands, with vast swathes of territory engulfed in conflict. Her father, Tywin, had written to her on numerous occasions, sternly chastising her. They had previously held two Starks as leverage, yet unbeknownst to them, Arya Stark had escaped from under their very noses in King's Landing, delivering a significant blow to their plans. Just as she was lamenting her inability to discipline Joffrey, he had, the previous day, issued a private command for the Gold Cloaks to execute all of Robert Baratheon's illegitimate children. By the 7th, this was in broad daylight. The Gold Cloaks stormed through the streets, invading taverns, civilian homes, and brothels, brutally slaying those innocent children, some merely teenagers, others as young as 7 or 8, and even infants. This atrocity sparked widespread outrage among the populace. Her spies within the city reported that the discontent in King's Landing was palpable. At this critical juncture, when consolidating the City Watch was paramount for their safety, Joffrey had audaciously arrested the captain of the City Watch, the newly appointed Duke of Harlaw, Janos Slynt. It was rumored that he intended to charge him with treason and the assassination of the king. By the 7th, what was her beloved son Joffrey attempting to do? Did he not realize that discontent was rampant in King's Landing, and that the armies of Renly and Stannis were encroaching? Their only hope lay with the City Watch. Had he truly lost his mind? "Joffrey, you have grown increasingly unfamiliar." She caught a fleeting glimpse of Leonidas standing beside Joffrey, yet paid him no heed. Cersei patiently urged, "Joffrey, Lord Janos is the captain of the city guard. When your father, Robert, was alive, he commanded the city guard for over a decade. We are now faced with armies from the north, the Reach, and Dragonstone. It is imperative that we ally with Lord Janos rather than offend him. Joffrey scrutinized Cersei from head to toe, a flicker of understanding passing through his eyes. No wonder she was once hailed as the most beautiful woman in the Seven Kingdoms. At this moment, Cersei undoubtedly embodied that title. Her graceful, statuesque figure exuded an air of nobility, especially after having borne 3 children. She resembled a ripe peach, so succulent that a mere squeeze would yield juice. Her golden tresses cascaded down, framing her emerald eyes and delicate nose. Coupled with her porcelain skin, she radiated an immense allure. Such a stunning woman, yet behind closed doors, she had shared her bed with several men. Her twin brother, Jaime Lannister, King Robert Baratheon, her cousin, Lancel Lannister, and even the enigmatic Euron Greyjoy. Furthermore, after the Tyrells pledged their allegiance, Tywin sought to solidify the situation by marrying Cersei to Ser Loras Tyrell. Such a notion was utterly absurd. However, it also indicated that Cersei Lannister was indeed as enticing and beautiful as ever. To die beneath a peony blossom is to become a ghost, she thought. Joffrey, what are you staring at? Cersei queried, perplexed by her son's gaze. It was not the look of a son towards his mother, but rather that of a man regarding a woman, filled with greed and possessiveness. Joffrey averted his gaze and replied coolly, I do not wish for a man who has once betrayed us to hold such a significant position. Betrayed? Cersei hesitated. Lord Janos has never betrayed our Lannister family. Yet he betrayed the hand of the king, Eddard Stark. Joffrey retorted. Eddard Stark? Cersei exclaimed in surprise. He was the true traitor. Were it not for Lord Janos stepping forth at a crucial moment, perhaps, that was merely because you and Petyr Baelish bribed him. Joffrey interjected with a sneer. If he could be bought once, he can surely be bought again. What purpose does it serve to keep a man in power who can be so easily swayed by bribes? Cersei, observing Joffrey's unwavering gaze, realized she could not alter his mind. Though she was the regent and wielded considerable military strength, with many nobles and ministers supporting her, Joffrey was still her son. Why would she oppose her own child? Cersei could only utter, since you have made your decision, so be it. She swiftly pondered within her mind how to procure greater benefits for House Lannister. Following the arrest of Lord Janos, to whom shall you entrust his vacated position? What of Lancel Lannister? He is the eldest son of your maternal uncle, Ser Kevin, and has served as your father's squire. He is quite capable. Joffrey sneered. Let him remain by your side to dutifully attend to you, mother. What do you mean by that? Cersei was taken aback. Could it be that Joffrey was aware of her affair with Lancel? Joffrey continued, This matter is not for you to fret over, mother. I have already appointed Lord Leonidas as the captain of the City Watch. He shall assume this new role and is qualified to join the small council to deliberate on matters of state. Leonidas? Cersei was utterly bewildered. She had never heard of this individual. Who is he? He is a secret asset prepared for me by my father, Robert Baratheon. Robert's man. Cersei's complexion changed dramatically as she instinctively glanced at the man she had previously dismissed. Leonidas bowed respectfully, Your Majesty, Your Grace. I shall diligently assist Your Majesty in safeguarding King's Landing. Mother, since you are here, please help me announce that I am convening a small council meeting. In the throne room, the sky had darkened. A maid lit the oil lamps, casting a dim, yellow glow throughout the chamber. The air was thick with a somewhat cloying scent, a result of various bombs added to the oil to ameliorate its odor. However, one could not endure it for long, lest a headache ensue. When Petyr Baelish entered the throne room, he felt a slight stir within him. Over a dozen unfamiliar knights, armed with round shields and spears, stood sentinel on either side of the chamber. Their keen eyes surveyed the surroundings. At the council table, several individuals were already seated. The regent, Cersei, the spider, Varys, the Grand Maester, Pycelle, and another unexpected yet anticipated figure, His Majesty, King Joffrey Baratheon. The king rarely attended council meetings. In nearly a year's time, Petyr had seen Joffrey in council but a handful of times. He preferred revelry and archery training over the tedious proceedings of the council. Furthermore, there sat a burly man clad in a crimson cloak, sporting a scruffy beard, occupying another chair. Previously, that chair had belonged to the captain of the City Watch, Janos. Who is he? Why is he seated here? The small council is a place where the king, or the hand of the king, convenes with the realm's most esteemed lords to deliberate on matters of state. Only great nobles or high-ranking officials may enter such a council. For instance, the former hand of the king, Jon Arryn, and Eddard Stark, King Robert's 2 brothers, the Master of Laws, Renly, and the Master of Ships, Stannis, the Master of Whisperers, the Spider, Varys, the Master of Coin, Petyr Baelish, the Grand Maester, Pycelle, alongside a regent, Cersei Lannister. Yet, who is this middle-aged man? Lord Baelish. "We were merely awaiting your presence," came Joffrey's voice. Baelish replied respectfully, "Your Grace, I extend my greetings to you. Do take a seat, Lord Baelish. As the master of coin, your contributions to the stability of King's Landing are indelible," Joffrey said with a grin. "You have the privilege of tardiness." Baelish, somewhat flustered, responded, "Thank you for your kind words, Your Grace." He chose a seat and exchanged a glance with his old friend and rival, Varys, who merely shrugged in response. His gaze turned to Cersei, only to find her expression a mixture of indifference and concern. Baelish's heart sank. The thoughts of our sovereign remain elusive indeed. Ahem. Joffrey cleared his throat and announced, "I have summoned you all here this late to convey a matter of great importance. Janos Slynt stands accused of conspiracy and treason, plotting to assassinate the king. Therefore, I hereby strip him of his position as commander of the City Watch. His title as Lord of Harrenhal is likewise revoked. Tomorrow, he shall face his execution at the Great September of Baelor." As Joffrey's words settled in the air, the expressions of those present were quite telling. Cersei remained silent, clearly already aware. Loras was utterly unconcerned. Varys clenched his hands tightly within his voluminous sleeves. Baelish, initially taken aback, soon regained his composure. Pycelle, with his failing eyesight, merely paused momentarily before bending slightly, as if further bowing. Joffrey noted their reactions and casually inquired, "Do any of you harbor objections?" Varys loosened his hands, internally lamenting. It appears Joffrey is indeed a most wretched king, even more deranged than the previous Mad King. He betrayed and executed Eddard Stark, and now seeks to eliminate Janos Slynt, the very man who aided him in seizing the throne? Could it be that the true king resides in the last Targaryen bloodline on the continent of Essos? Though he pondered such thoughts, he quickly responded aloud, "Janos' attempt on the king's life is indeed treasonous and warrants execution as a public spectacle. I possess ample evidence of his accepting bribes, selling offices, and embezzling military funds." "Excellent," Joffrey nodded. "Lord Varys, the king is the pillar of the realm. Please organize this evidence and present it to me." "As you command, Your Grace," Varys acquiesced. Baelish added, "Your Grace, after all, Lord Janos is a lord you yourself appointed as the Duke of Harrenhal. I have spoken. His title as the Duke of Harrenburg has been stripped away." Joffrey coldly declared, "For the mere act of assassinating the king, he deserves nothing less than death. No one can save him, not even through trial by combat." The so-called trial by combat is a widely accepted custom among the nobility. Once found guilty, one could demand a trial by combat, seeking a knight to represent them in the challenge. If victorious, they would be exonerated. Should their champion fail, they would be deemed guilty. Tyrion had experienced 2 trials by combat, achieving 1 victory and 1 defeat. Ultimately, he killed his father, Tywin, and fled to the continent of Essos. Pycelle trembled as he spoke. "Your Grace, with Janos captured, who shall succeed him as commander of the City Watch?" "That is precisely what I wish to announce," Joffrey replied, casting a glance at Cersei. The others, understanding, instinctively looked towards the man beside Joffrey. "Leonidas, a Spartan, is the warrior entrusted to me by my father, Robert Baratheon. Before his demise, he is battle-hardened, excelling in military strategy, and commands 300 Spartan warriors, each capable of fending off 100 foes. From this day forth, Leonidas shall become the new commander of the City Watch in King's Landing." Joffrey smiled. "Who is in favor, and who is against?" I. Several voices chimed in agreement. Cersei donned a warm smile. "Joffrey, your name day is approaching. Have you considered what gift you desire? The young Stark girl is nearing adulthood as well." "I know, Mother," Joffrey replied, grinning. "I was just about to mention that. I leave Sansa's matters to you. As for other affairs within the kingdom, I will handle them alongside the lords." Thus, Joffrey decreed it. The day of judgment was set. The following day, before the Great September of Baelor, throngs of people gathered. Countless residents surged from streets and alleys to the spacious square before the cathedral, their faces alight with excitement and anticipation. Many shouted, engaging in fervent discussions, as if they had encountered something truly astonishing. Word had spread through the notice board at the Red Keep and among the well-informed. Today, a significant figure would be judged here, the commander of the City Watch, Janos Slynt. The announcement caused a stir that surpassed even the commotion surrounding the trial of Eddard Stark just half a month prior. After all, compared to the Duke of the North, Eddard Stark, Janos Slynt, as the local power broker in King's Landing, had commanded the City Watch for over a decade. His name, undoubtedly, held greater weight in the eyes of the citizens of King's Landing. Within the city of King's Landing, tyranny reigns supreme, as the powerful exploit the populace, nurturing their loyalists, accepting bribes, and engaging in the sale of positions. The common folk live in perpetual dread, cursing the City Watch and the detested Janos at every turn. Today is a momentous occasion, as the wretched Janos stands trial. Truly, A cause for celebration. That little king has finally accomplished a commendable deed. Janos, the scoundrel. Harmed my father. And those clad in gold, a band of thieves. Just days ago, they callously executed several youths in broad daylight. I have heard whispers of a new commander for the city watch. One can only hope that this new leader will impose some semblance of order upon the gold-clad ruffians. Humph, the gold cloaks are but the blades of the nobility. How could one expect them to be managed effectively? Alas, with war raging in the north, we have barely escaped to King's Landing, only to find it more chaotic than before. Step aside. Make way. They're coming. Look at all the gold cloaks. The white-cloaked guards. It's the white cloaks. I see His Majesty the King. How regal he appears. And several esteemed lords. Lord Baelish. The ladies from his brothel are truly enticing. Queen Cersei. How exquisite she is. And numerous other beautiful noble women. In the grand expanse before the great September of Baelor, Joffrey was surrounded by a throng of admirers. Making his way to the plaza, the Spartan warriors and the Kingsguard were present, along with Baelish, Varys, Cersei, Sansa Stark, and a multitude of other nobles. Oh! And there was a rotund man bedecked in gold and silver, the current High Septon, a mere figurehead of no real significance. Soon, he would be ousted by another ambitious soul, dragged from Baelish's brothel. Stripped of his dignity, he would walk from the brothel to the great September, his reputation in tatters. In his place would rise the son of a cobbler, the new High Sparrow. He would ascend to the position of High Septon, blessed by Cersei, and establish an army of zealots armed with divine authority. Adored by the people, wielding religious power, he would inspire fervent devotion. Fortunately, the current High Sparrow remains merely an ordinary follower of the faith, yet to grow into the future pope. Joffrey surveyed the throng in the plaza and commanded in a measured tone, "Bring him forth." Soon, several gold cloaks and Spartan warriors ushered Janos forward. The enraged crowd surged toward him, hurling their invectives. "You wretched Janos! Your day of reckoning has come. You deserve nothing less than death. Kill him. End his life. Beat him to a pulp." A multitude of angry voices clamored for justice, yet the gold cloaks and Spartan warriors held firm against the tide of fury. Ultimately, before reaching the plaza, he was handed over to two members of the Kingsguard. Gagged with a rag, Janos Slynt could not utter a sound. No matter how desperately he struggled, Sansa instinctively grasped Joffrey's arm as she stood beside him. Janos Slynt, the very man who betrayed his own father figure, Eddard Stark. After pledging his loyalty to Eddard, he turned against him, exterminating the Stark household's retainers and apprehending Eddard himself. Had it not been for Janos' treachery and manipulation, Eddard would not have foolishly confronted Cersei and her cohorts relying on the guards of his own house. "Do not worry," Joffrey reassured Sansa, patting her small hand. "Your father's fate was merely an unfortunate accident. Janos is the true architect of your father's demise. Lord Eddard was a noble and righteous man. I shall seek to vindicate him." Sansa's eyes glistened with tears. "Thank you, your grace," she replied. Pycelle trembled as he stepped forward. His voice hoarse. "We suffer because we are guilty. This man stands before the heavens and the mortals, confessing his sins. The gods are inherently just. Janos Slynt. He admits to having deceived and manipulated Eddard Stark, the Duke, making him the instigator and ultimate beneficiary of this rebellion. Our king, Joffrey Baratheon, has also been misled by him. He is a despicable fool, a shameless villain. He shall face the united wrath of the gods and the mortal realm." Pycelle turned to Joffrey. "Your grace, how shall we deal with this traitor?" Joffrey replied coolly, "Janos Slynt, as a high-ranking official and commander of the city guard, has forsaken his duty to protect the kingdom and its people. Instead, he has abused his position to oppress the populace, engaging in bribery and corruption. He has privately incited both me and Duke Eddard Stark, resulting in the latter's death. He is the true culprit of this insurrection, deserving of the harshest punishment. Ser Island. Behead him." Janos thrashed violently, but it was in vain. Two white cloaks restrained him. Ser Island Payne, the executioner, placed a black hood over his head. Wielding the Valyrian steel sword, Ice. This very blade that had once severed Eddard Stark's head came crashing down. With a sickening thud, Janos Slynt's head soared into the air. "Oh, the decree of self-reproach. Heroic spirit. Under your command, Janos Slynt has been sentenced to death, and a decree of self-reproach has been issued, granting forgiveness from the Seven and the mortals. Your prestige and the fortune of the realm have been elevated. You have received a reward. Heroic spirit, special skill. Heroic spirit, a true hero harbors grand aspirations, possesses profound wisdom, and embodies the ambition to encompass the universe and the will to shape the world." As the system's notifications echoed in his mind, Joffrey smiled faintly. "It seems the time has come to initiate the subsequent plans and schemes. Oh, Janos is dead. The avaricious, brutal, and rebellious Janos has had his head severed by the great King Joffrey. Long live His Majesty King Joffrey. It turns out that the rebellion of Duke Ed Stark was incited and framed by Janos. The king was deceived by Janos as well. He misled everyone. Fortunately, our king has realized the truth. Well done. I have heard of Duke Ed Stark's noble reputation. How could a man of such integrity and kindness rebel? Indeed, His Majesty Joffrey even issued a proclamation of self-criticism, acknowledging his error. A proclamation of self-criticism? He admitted to mistakenly executing Duke Ed Stark and sought forgiveness. And the seven gods did not deliver divine retribution. It is truly remarkable for a king to have the courage to acknowledge his mistakes. The seven gods have surely forgiven His Majesty Joffrey. He is indeed magnificent. Hey, have you heard? The city guard has purged over 1,000 individuals. All former officers who oppressed the common people. They have been expelled. I have heard that too. This is all thanks to His Majesty Joffrey. The Royal Guard is recruiting new members. The requirements are to be over 14 years old, of unblemished background. And yes, even commoners can apply. They even offer military pay. 1 silver coin a month, guaranteed 3 meals a day. My heavens, I must join the city guard. Following Janos' execution, a rare celebration swept through King's Landing. Countless individuals fervently debated in the streets and alleys, whether they were the natives of King's Landing or refugees fleeing from the north due to war. They were all astonished by the changes in the city. The Duke of the North was killed in rebellion? The commander of the city guard imprisoned? The king personally oversaw the execution and vindicated Duke Ed Stark? His Majesty Joffrey issued a proclamation of self-criticism, acknowledging his mistakes, misled and deceived by those in power. He mistakenly executed Duke Ed Stark. The wrath of the seven did not descend. After this incident, King Joffrey's reputation in King's Landing reached a zenith. Many believe that although His Majesty was previously a tyrannical king, he was merely misled by those in power. The fault does not lie with His Majesty Joffrey, but with the power broker, Janos Slynt. All blame has been cast upon Janos Slynt. The reputation and esteem of Joffrey have soared, nearly surpassing that of Robert Baratheon. As for the newly appointed commander of the city guard, Leonidas, his arrival has garnered unanimous support and enthusiastic participation from the common folk of King's Landing. With the Northern War at a stalemate, many have sought refuge in the capital. Although no official count has been made, the population of King's Landing, including refugees, has already exceeded 700,000. On that very day, the number of individuals enlisting in the city guard surpassed 1,000, with many more on their way. Originally, Leonidas and Joffrey intended to recruit 5,000 men, aiming to maintain the city guard at around 10,000. However, the fervor of the citizens of King's Landing, particularly the desperate refugees, proved overwhelming. With nowhere else to turn, the army became their sole refuge. Faced with the numerous pleas and eager participation of the refugees, Joffrey reluctantly expanded the city guard to over 15,000 men. This figure was reached only after careful consideration and assessment by Joffrey and Leonidas. Each new recruit underwent a thorough investigation and evaluation, ensuring they were of sound character, robust health, and free from disease. Upon their enlistment, Joffrey promptly established a series of training regiments, with Leonidas and his band of 300 Spartans serving as instructors. They diligently trained the new recruits, gradually enhancing their combat readiness. As for provisions, there was no cause for concern. This period marked a long summer in Westeros, with a consistently temperate climate ideal for crop growth. The Master of Coin, Baelish, had previously stated in a council meeting that the food reserves in King's Landing were sufficient to sustain its populace for 5 years. It was this assurance that emboldened Joffrey to expand the military so extensively. Outside the Red Keep in King's Landing, Joffrey was engaged in a sparring match with a tall knight. Both wielded wooden swords that, despite their material, were comparable in weight and feel to ordinary longswords. Your speed is excessive, your grace. Do not strike with full force. Use 7 parts strength and 3 parts momentum. Relax your footwork. Close the distance swiftly to disrupt your opponent's rhythm. Yes, apply pressure. Do not panic. Mind your breathing. Under the tutelage of Ser Marintrant, Joffrey swiftly adjusted his footwork and breathing. Soon, he felt the wooden sword lighten in his grasp. He pressed on, striking the opponent's blade with his own, causing it to tremble. With a decisive step forward, he forced his adversary back. The knight, now in a state of disarray, retreated, gasping, "Your grace, you have won." Joffrey frowned, casually discarding the wooden sword. "Ser Marin, I have made it clear, I do not want anyone to go easy on me." His imposing stature and mastery of the longsword and axe make him a formidable presence, devoted to the Lannister family. In the original narrative, it was he who, during the Battle of Blackwater, followed Cersei's orders to attempt to assassinate Tyrion. Unfortunately for him, he was thwarted by Tyrion's squire, Podrick, and only managed to inflict grievous injuries upon Tyrion, severing half of his face and his nose. Ironically, he met his own demise at the hands of Podrick. Mandan. His face flushed, stammered, "Your Majesty, your progress is truly astonishing. I am indeed no match for you." "Is that so?" "Growth and empowerment. News of Arya. Is that so?" Joffrey replied, perplexed. It had been half a month since the trial of Janos Slynt, during which he had maintained a firm grip on the small council. The recruitment of the city guard was proceeding methodically, and under Leonidas's training and governance, the new recruits were visibly advancing at an impressive rate. Meanwhile, he himself was rapidly improving through rigorous training with the Kingsguard, excelling in swordsmanship, archery, equestrian skills, and even unarmed combat. "Indeed, Your Majesty," Marental echoed. "Just half a month ago, you had only learned court swordsmanship. That style, if I may be blunt, is merely ornamental, suitable for noble gatherings or entertaining noble ladies. However, what we have imparted to you is the true art of killing. Your ability to master it in such a short time, even surpassing us, is nothing short of genius." Joffrey sheathed his wooden sword and, taking a towel handed to him by a maid, wiped the sweat from his brow. "In that case, let us conclude for today." "Yes, Your Majesty." He opened his personal attributes panel. Host, Joffrey Baratheon. Identity, King of the Undals, Royner, and First Men, Ruler of the Seven Kingdoms. Protector of the Realm, Martial Power, 91, Intelligence, 100, Politics, 92, Military, 78, Charisma, 100, Skills, Noble Etiquette 8, Archery 9, Swordsmanship 8. Horsemanship 7, Special Skill 1, Charismatic Sovereign, Blood Sovereign. You are destined for greatness, not an ordinary individual. A hero, a tyrant, a grand emperor, your choice. Hidden attributes of charisma and presence are permanently fixed at the highest level. All who approach you will be influenced by your allure. Special Skill 2, Heroic Spirit. A hero harbors grand ambitions, possesses profound strategies, and embodies the will of the universe. Your charisma, aura, and spirit receive a permanent enhancement, attracting the attention of both heaven and earth and drawing the gaze of mortals. Inventory, Lighthouse Sword, an astonishing martial prowess of 91. Intelligence at a perfect 100. Political acumen reaching 92. Joffrey's eyes gleamed with excitement. The effects of the physique optimization liquid and the golden apple, coupled with his rigorous training over the past half-month, have indeed borne fruit. Currently, he may not match the formidable prowess of the likes of Bolly Stan, Jaime Lannister, Eddard Stark, Robert Baratheon, or the Mountain in his prime. However, against ordinary knights, the Kingsguard, and common mercenaries, he remains confident of victory. The Hound, Sandor Clegane, appeared within Joffrey's line of sight. "Your Majesty," the Hound declared. "The men I dispatched have returned with news." "Speak," Joffrey commanded. "We have not located Lord Bolly's and at the Blackwater port or in his fiefdom. Furthermore, we found no trace of him aboard the merchant vessels headed to Essos." "Very well," Joffrey replied nonchalantly. "Though Bolly Stan is a seasoned Kingsguard, he is far too old." He shook his head, reflecting on the nearly 70-year-old knight who had perished in a distant land for his vows in the so-called honor of knighthood. An unfortunate fate that elicited a sigh of regret. "Is there more?" The Hound continued. "We also discovered the body of the Night's watchman, Euron. Witnesses claim he was slain by the treacherous Ser Amory Lorch, loyal to the Lannisters. As for Euron's contingent, they have been captured by the Knights of House Lannister and are imprisoned in Harrenhal." "Harrenhal? Has Arya returned there?" Joffrey's brow furrowed. "Arya Stark must not be allowed to leave Westeros. I do not wish to be targeted by the continent's most formidable assassin in the years to come. Follow me." He strode to his study and began to compose 2 identical letters, specifying the identities of Arya Stark and Gendry. The recipients, of course, would be his nominal grandfather, Tywin Lannister. "Sandor, the contents of these letters are the same. One will be affixed to the Raven, dispatched to my grandfather, Tywin Lannister. As for the other, I shall take a few nights and deliver it swiftly to Harrenhal, personally presenting it to Tywin Lannister." Joffrey handed the letter to Sandor Clegane. "Upon reading my letter, Grandfather Tywin will ensure the safe return of both the boy and the girl to King's Landing unharmed. Do you understand?" "Yes, Your Majesty." Sandor Clegane solemnly accepted the letter, bowed, and departed from the Red Keep. "Sandor, I hope you do not disappoint me," Joffrey remarked, watching the Hound's retreating figure. At that moment, another maid quietly knocked on the door. "What is it?" Joffrey recognized her as one of Cersei's attendants, who was quite beautiful. The maid spoke cautiously. "Your Majesty, the Queen Mother has sent me to inform you. Your naming day ceremony is ready. Please follow me." "Lead the way," he replied. "Yes, Your Majesty." Joffrey stepped forward, casually wrapping his arm around the lovely maid. Her face flushed crimson, and she appeared flustered. Yet, she persevered, maintaining her composure as she followed closely behind. Joffrey caressed her smooth shoulder and casually inquired, What has my mother been doing these past few days? Ah, your majesty. The queen mother has been preparing for your naming day, she stammered. Ah? Joffrey replied in a disinterested tone. For my naming day, my mother must be quite exhausted. Thankfully. The maid continued, her voice trembling, Lord Tywin has assisted, and your naming day has been organized smoothly. Tywin Lannister? At the mention of the name, a cold glimmer of malice flickered in Joffrey's eyes. 18. Naming day. The throne room of the Red Keep. In the dimly lit chamber, Peter Baelish clutched a ledger, his gaze fixed upon the cold iron throne. This enormous seat, forged from 1,000 swords melted together by Aegon the Conqueror's dragon fire, has attracted countless aspirants. Even after a millennium, it remains a source of fierce conflict, leaving many broken and bloodied in its wake. Imagine the expression on your face once you sit there, a soft voice remarked. Varys, the spider, approached with his hands concealed within his sleeves. Is the crown comfortable? Do all those lords and ladies who have mocked you for years still feign smiles and bow? Baelish maintained his unwavering gaze upon the Iron Throne. Without a head. It is indeed quite difficult for them to feign humility. Varys replied coldly, I would not wager with a man of great ambition lacking in morals. What do you suppose you would look like, my friend? Baelish chuckled. If you found yourself seated there? I would certainly be one of the few men in this city who does not wish to be king, Varys remarked nonchalantly. You would be among the few men in this city who are not truly men, Varys retorted with a laugh. Ah, that joke leaves much to be desired. Varys turned to walk away, with Baelish trailing behind. When you were gelded, did they use a stone pillar? I've always been curious. Is that so? Have you long wished to know what lies between my legs? In my imagination, it is but a deep seam. Baelish replied, not unlike a woman, am I right? The notion itself is quite astonishing. Even after all these years, it must be strange for you, someone from another realm, to be scorned by many and feared by all. Baelish spoke of Varys, who hailed from the continent of Essos, not Westeros. Is that so? I am pleased you could share this with me. Were you frightened by my scheming to the point of losing sleep at night? Are you not still continuing? Baelish's voice was cold, whispering into the ear of one king, only to confide in another. I commend you. I hold you in high regard as well, Lord Baelish, Varys replied softly, a brilliant speculator hailing from a modest lineage, adept at threading the needle between powerful men and women, instigating discord. It is a most valuable talent, of that I am certain you would agree. Now, let us pause here, filled with mutual admiration and respect, to play our roles in service to the new king. Varys' eyes gleamed as he bowed. Baelish's expression shifted rapidly as he responded, May his reign be long. Your Majesty, Your Majesty. Joffrey's figure strode in, flanked by 2 Kingsguard. My lords, may we commence? At your command. Within the Red Keep, in the expansive courtyard, numerous nobles mingled, their goblets clinking amidst boisterous laughter. In the corridor before them, 2 fully armored combatants were engaged in a contest of skill. The surrounding nobles erupted in excited shouts. Oh, cut off his head. Cut off his head. Harder. Harder. Sandor Clegane had been dispatched to Harrenhal. Meanwhile, in the tournament, another Kingsguard, Ser Mandon Moore, was competing. Equally formidable and ruthless, he wielded a battle axe, cleaving through his opponent's shield with a single stroke. With a swift kick, he sent his adversary sprawling, just as he prepared to send the opponent tumbling from the platform. Joffrey intervened. Ser Mandon, you have won this contest. You shall receive royal rewards. Gasping for breath, Mandon released his opponent and respectfully proclaimed, Thank you, Your Majesty. Oh. Although the nobles in the stands did not witness bloodshed or corpses, the fierce battle and Joffrey's proclamation stirred them greatly. Sansa cautiously placed a hand over her heart, saying, Your Majesty, I thought for a moment that someone might perish. Joffrey laughed. They are knights loyal to me. They ought to fight valiantly on the battlefield, rather than perish in trivial tumult. Sansa smiled. You are indeed a merciful king. Her expression suddenly shifted. The battlefield? Her brother and mother were not currently in rebellion against her king? As Joffrey personally oversaw the execution of Janos Slynt and issued a decree of self-accusation, casting all prior misdeeds onto the deceased Janos, this act not only endeared him to the common folk of King's Landing, winning their hearts, but also deeply moved Sansa Stark. Truly, he was the quintessential foolish young lord. She's still in her youth. Genuinely believed in Joffrey's deceitful words and found herself falling in love with him again. Joffrey retorted, Sansa, I am speaking of Renly and Stannis, not your elder brother and mother. They too were misled, and I shall not hold them accountable. Once the war concludes, I will personally absolve them of their transgressions. Deeply moved, Sansa replied, Thank you, Your Grace, Joffrey. 2 knights withdrew, and a guard bellowed. Next, Ser Dantos of House Hollard, a free knight serving under Lord Baelish. A knight clad in silver armor, wielding a short axe, approached. The Red Knight of House Hollard, Ser Dantos. Silence enveloped the raucous name day celebration. The guard shouted again. The Red Knight of House hollered, Ser Dantos. I am here. I am here. A drunken voice suddenly echoed. A rotund figure, clutching a small mace, stumbled into view. His bulk causing his helmet to fall from his head in a most undignified manner. Are you intoxicated? No. I merely had a couple of drinks. A couple of drinks, you say? Joffrey remarked coolly. The Red Knight, Ser Dantos, was nothing but a fool. Fully aware that a knightly joust would take place on the king's name day, yet he chose to indulge in drunkenness. He became the subject of Joffrey's mockery. Reduced to a mere jester. Later, seduced by the promise of gold from Peter Baelish, he discreetly whisked Sansa Stark away amidst the chaos of the Purple Wedding. Just as he envisioned a substantial reward, he was ruthlessly slain by Baelish. Ser Dantos was indeed a worthless wretch. Can you still fight? Joffrey inquired without ordering anyone to ply him with more drink. I can, of course, Ser Dantos slurred. I came for this very contest. Then let it commence. Amidst the clamor, Rosabryn and Dantos soon clashed. Yet, within 2 exchanges, the seasoned Rosabryn disarmed Dantos with a swift strike, sending his weapon plummeting from the heights. Thud. As expected, the corpulent form of Dantos crashed to the ground, his brain matter splattering upon impact. Blood mingled with wine, pooling upon the earth. Oh, wow. Now, this is a contest. Exhilarating. The stands erupted once more in a cacophony of excitement. Compared to a mundane conclusion, the nobility seemed to revel in this blood-soaked and thrilling spectacle. Alas, poor fellow. Sansa shrank back, unable to bear the sight of the lifeless body. Joffrey, ever the eager participant, declared, it is the custom of knightly tournaments. If one dares to compete, one must accept the consequences of the duel. I had not anticipated his frailty. I scarcely had time to call for a halt. It is not your fault. Sansa hastily interjected. This tournament unfolds under the watchful gaze of the Seven. His defeat is a consequence of his own making. Dear Sansa, my beloved niece. Suddenly, a voice pierced the tender exchange. At the top of the staircase, a diminutive figure clad in ill-fitting armor approached, surrounded by a throng of admirers. The armor, clearly altered, appeared comically oversized on his frame. It was the infamous Tyrion Lannister. Behind him trailed the mercenary Bronn and a knight of House Lannister, a wildling warrior. Tyrion surveyed the raucous assembly of nobles and the corpse upon the ground, his expression betraying no emotion, though internally, his disappointment in Joffrey deepened. Your grandfather and uncle are battling for your throne, and yet you hide within the confines of King's Landing, indulging in revelry, he exclaimed. I searched the battlefield for you. Yet you proved elusive. Joffrey chuckled. At last, a worthy arrival. Tyrion, having received orders from Tywin, had journeyed through much turmoil to finally reach King's Landing. He had even neglected to settle matters with Shae before arriving at the Red Keep. With Tyrion's entrance, the expressions of several present soured. Pouring himself a glass of red wine, Tyrion approached his niece, Myrcella Lannister, with a smile. Look at you, even more enchanting than before. Thank you, Uncle Tyrion, Myrcella replied, her eyes sparkling as she accepted his affectionate greeting. As a scion of House Lannister, Myrcella undeniably inherited her mother Cersei's beauty, golden hair, azure eyes, and a statuesque figure, her pale skin radiating youth. Though merely a girl of around 10, her exquisite features promised an alluring future. And Tommen, you are growing more robust than even the Hound, Tyrion exclaimed, embracing his other nephew, a charming young lad. And you, my dear boy, are quite handsome. He laughed heartily, holding a genuine fondness for these 2 children of House Lannister. Joffrey remarked, Uncle Tyrion, we heard you were dead. Myrcella chimed in, I am so glad you are not. Good child, I share your sentiment, Tyrion replied, taking a generous gulp of wine. Death is too dull, especially now, with so much enjoyment to be had in the world. He then turned to Sansa, his demeanor shifting to one of solemnity. My lady, I am deeply saddened by your misfortune. Unexpectedly, Sansa Stark leaned against Joffrey's shoulder with a beaming smile. Lord Tyrion, I appreciate your condolences. The sins committed by my father have been righted by your majesty. For this, the true traitors and criminals have been executed. At this, Tyrion was taken aback. This script seemed rather amiss. Righted? What does that mean? Righting Eddard Stark? How could that be? Eddard Stark was the very man Joffrey ordered to be slain. As Eddard Stark's eldest daughter, why would she utter such words? And who exactly are the true traitors and criminals? What transpired in King's Landing? Undoubtedly, Tyrion hesitated before speaking. Very well. Enjoy your name day, your majesty. How I wish I could partake in the festivities with you, but pressing matters await my attention. With that, he led his soldiers into the Red Keep. Joffrey discreetly gestured for the guards at the door, the Spartan warriors, not to impede his passage. Sansa inquired curiously, Your Majesty, does Lord Tyrion have urgent business in King's Landing? Joffrey swirled the wine in his goblet, replying, he has been sent here by his father, my grandfather. As a sword. Poor child, What splendid performance might he exhibit when he discovers reality starkly contrasts with his expectations? My brother, Myrcella suddenly chimed in, clutching Joffrey's other arm. I am so bored alone in the Red Keep. May I play with Sister Sansa? Joffrey affectionately ruffled the little girl's hair, replying, Of course. In a few days, I shall teach you a delightful game. What do you say? Yes. Thank you, brother. She giggled. 20. Tyrion. Cersei, what brings you here? What business do you have in King's Landing? Cersei exclaimed, astonished at Tyrion's presence. Pouring himself another glass of wine, Tyrion could not suppress his smugness, stating, I have come to rectify the mistakes you have made. Cersei, though aware of her own actions, retorted defiantly, What plan do you possess? What right do you have to amend these errors? Our father is the hand of the king. Indeed, but what of it when he is no longer? Tyrion nonchalantly produced a letter, handing it to the nearby Lancel Lannister. Lancel, puzzled, opened the letter, his expression shifting dramatically. Your Grace. Your father has appointed Tyrion to serve as hand of the king during his campaign. Silence. All of you, silence. Cersei bellowed. Lancel instinctively fell silent, daunted into obedience. Cersei glared at Tyrion, unabashedly stating, Why would father choose you as hand of the king? Her face was etched with disgust and revulsion. As if she were gazing upon a repugnant creature, Tyrion retorted without hesitation, It is my brother, Jaime Lannister, who, due to his recklessness, has fallen into the clutches of Robb Stark. With a sudden outburst, Cersei rose, her gaze fixed menacingly upon Tyrion. Withdraw. All of you, retreat. Lancel and several guards hastily complied. Tyrion savored his wine, indifferent to the tempest around him. I am truly curious as to how you managed to deceive father into making such a decision, Cersei remarked coldly. If I possessed the ability to deceive father, I would have already ruled the 7 kingdoms, Tyrion replied. This is a consequence of your own actions. I have done nothing. Indeed, you have done nothing, Tyrion stated bluntly. When your son sought the head of Eddard Stark, now the entire North has risen against us. I attempted to prevent this. Did you? Cersei countered, yet you failed. This farce will plague our family for generations, Tyrion declared. Robb Stark is merely a child. Cersei laughed hollowly, a victorious child. Tyrion frowned. Do you not realize that we are on the brink of losing this war? What do you know of warfare? Nothing at all, he asserted. But I understand the human heart. I recognize that our enemies harbor a hatred for one another that matches their disdain for us. A prolonged silence ensued. Cersei's eyes were filled with resentment, fury, and defiance, while Tyrion's gaze bore mockery and calm. Cersei gritted her teeth. Joffrey is king. Tyrion replied with conviction. Joffrey is king. You are here to advise him. I am here solely to assist him as well. He continued, and if the king were to heed my counsel, perhaps we could secure the return of his brother Jaime. Or shall I say, father? The scandal of her affair with Jaime Lannister had already spread throughout King's Landing and Westeros, and her notoriety now rivaled that of his majesty. Cersei paused, seemingly unfazed. What should we do? You love your children. This is a rare virtue of yours, he added, and your beauty is another. As the eldest daughter of the Lannisters, Cersei possessed a mane of golden hair and striking beauty. The Starks also cherished their children, and we happen to have 2, Tyrion remarked. Cersei sighed. There is but one left. Tyrion inhaled deeply, disbelief etched upon his face. Only one? That little imp, Arya, has vanished. Vanished? How does one simply vanish? Did she do so amidst a puff of smoke? Tyrion lamented. We initially had 3 Starks to bargain with, yet you beheaded one and allowed another to escape. Father will be furious. The arrival of you must surely feel quite foreign. Tyrion could hardly suppress his laughter. This time, you have become the child who disappoints him. Cersei inhaled deeply and abruptly rose to her feet. Tyrion, the weighty responsibility of safeguarding King's Landing is entrusted to you. I have other matters to attend to. Sew it up. Tyrion called after Cersei. I find it curious that only you and Joffrey remain in the Red Keep. Where's Varys? Where's Baelish? And that old fellow, Pycelle? Cersei turned proudly, casting a provocative glance at Tyrion, and said, Perhaps our father has worried needlessly. Joffrey does not require your counsel. What do you mean? Tyrion furrowed his brow. What has transpired in the Red Keep? Where have the kingdom's key ministers gone? He is the hand of the king, and yet no one has come to greet him. Cersei smiled. Nowadays, King's Landing under Joffrey's rule is far more stable than it ever was under Robert Baratheon. Without your assistance, my son remains the most radiant star of House Lannister. He is capable of governing this realm. How is that possible? Tyrion instinctively replied. Joffrey governing the realm? Are you dreaming? Perhaps he couldn't before, but now I believe in him. Cersei coldly retorted. If you wish to avoid humiliation, you would do well to return quietly. Tyrion frowned. Where is Baelish, Varys, and Pycelle? I must find them. Don't waste your breath. They cannot enter the Red Keep without Joffrey's command. What do you mean? Without them? How are we to govern the kingdom? Cersei sighed. Perhaps you should see for yourself in King's Landing. I do not wish to quarrel with you. Our current task is to repel the armies of Renly and Stannis. Tyrion stood up. I shall go. I too am eager to discover what my dear nephew has been up to. In the Stormlands, at Storm's End, a grand ceremony and tournament were in full swing. The fully armored Knight of Flowers, Loras Tyrell, was engaged in combat with another stout knight. After a fierce struggle, Knight Loras was thrown to the ground. The knight drew a dagger, pressing it to Loras's throat. I concede. I yield. On the dais, King Renly Baratheon of Storm's End sat alongside his new bride. The Rose of Highgarden, Margaery Tyrell, watching the contest unfold. Margaery, indeed the most beautiful woman from Highgarden, with her golden locks and azure eyes, possessed a flawless visage that could ensnare anyone within her radiance. Among the crowd, Catelyn observed the duel. It must be said, the knight who triumphed over Loras exhibited swordsmanship and experience that far surpassed that of Loras. Clap, 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 exclaimed Brienne of Tarth, her voice brimming with excitement. That was a splendid performance. Please step forward. The knight knelt before her. Arise and remove your helmet. A resolute yet undeniably feminine visage emerged before the crowd. The soldiers and knights surrounding them were taken aback. A woman? A female knight? Brienne. It is Brienne of Tarth. Even Loras was somewhat astonished. Your father has not exaggerated regarding your prowess, my lady. I have witnessed Ser Loras bested only once or twice, and never with such disgrace. Nay, dear friend. My brother is quite valiant, Margaery Tyrell interjected with a smile. Indeed, my queen, affirmed Loras, but there can only be one champion. He proclaimed loudly, Brienne of Tarth. You may demand anything from me. As long as it is within my power, it shall be yours. Brienne knelt once more, respectfully stating, Your Grace, I humbly request the honor of serving in the King's Guard. What? Loras exclaimed, his face a mask of disbelief. The surrounding knights and soldiers began to murmur loudly. The King's Guard? How could a woman possibly serve in the King's Guard? She is not even a knight. Brienne has lost her senses. I wish to be one of your sworn swords. To dedicate my life to protect you from all peril. Despite the clamor, Brienne's voice rang clear and resolute. Loras's expression shifted as well. A woman becoming a member of the King's Guard was unprecedented in Westeros. However, I consent. Rise, Brienne of Tarth, the King's Guard. Clap, clap, clap. A fervent applause erupted. Only Loras wore a look of discontent, his expression tinged with bitterness. Your Grace, it is my honor to present to you Lady Catelyn Stark. A knight stepped forth. She is the messenger from her son, Lord Robb Stark of Winterfell. Catelyn interjected, the Lord of Winterfell and King in the North. Lady Catelyn, you are most welcome. Loras remarked. Allow me to introduce my wife, Margaery of House Tyrell. Both women nodded in acknowledgement. Welcome, Lady Stark. I express my deepest sympathies for your husband's plight. Thank you, she replied. My lord, I swear to you. Loras declared solemnly, the Lannisters shall pay for the murder of your husband. Once I take King's Landing, I shall present you with Joffrey's head. Huzzah! Long live! The soldiers and knights shouted with fervor. This is the king to whom we owe our loyalty. I am well satisfied to hear of your commitment to justice, my lord, Catelyn responded. It is your grace. Brienne interjected boldly, and you should kneel before the king. Such formality is unnecessary. Lady Stark is a distinguished guest. Behind him, Loras suddenly inquired, has your son marched upon Tywin Lannister? I did not attend my son's war council. And even if I had, I would not divulge his strategies to you. Unrelenting, Loras continued, if Robb Stark wishes to negotiate, he should come forth personally, rather than cower behind his mother. My son is engaged in battle against formidable foes, not indulging in tournaments. Lancel's countenance shifted slightly, yet he maintained his smile, saying, Fear not, my lady, the war has only just commenced. We can take our time with negotiations. Meanwhile, in the Iron Islands, Theon Greyjoy, spurred by his father Balon Greyjoy and sister Yara Greyjoy, chose to betray Robb Stark, returning to the Ironborn, embracing tradition, and worshipping the drowned god. He resolved to personally lead a raid upon Winterfell in the north. Balon Greyjoy aspired to resurrect the glory of ancient times, seeking independence from the Iron Throne and to be crowned a king. Theon felt bewildered. He had returned to the Iron Islands to assist his brother Robb in forging an alliance with their father. After much inner turmoil and deliberation, Theon tore apart the letter intended for Robb. In that moment, he cast aside over a decade of teachings from Eddard Stark and forsook the bond he shared with his brother Robb, transforming into a traitor. He and his sister Yara each commanded a portion of the Ironborn, launching a raid upon the north as brigands. Theon's actions were even more decisive. To prove himself to his father and the Ironborn, he, alone, led an army, traversing most of the northern castles, penetrating deep into enemy territory and seizing Winterfell. Robb Stark could never have imagined that his most trusted brother would betray him in such a manner, striking at the very heart of his stronghold. Fortunately, Roose Bolton persuaded Robb to refrain from rash actions and penned a letter, summoning his bastard son, known as Ramsay Snow, to lead forces to rescue Winterfell. The Battle of the North had truly begun. The night was dark and stormy as the Lannister camp, led by Tywin Lannister, was ambushed by Robb Stark's northern soldiers. The Lannister forces suffered severe casualties. Robb's army achieved yet another triumph, gaining the upper hand on the battlefield. In the aftermath, the ground was strewn with corpses, and the wounded lay everywhere, amidst anguished cries and curses. The northern soldiers busied themselves clearing the battlefield, delivering mercy to the fallen foes, bidding farewell to comrades, and scavenging various spoils of war. On the muddy grass, Roose Bolton reported the battlefield situation to Robb. The death toll of the Lannisters is 5 times greater than ours. We have no place to imprison all these captives, and our provisions are insufficient even for ourselves. Robb understood Roose Bolton's meaning and replied solemnly, "We shall not execute the prisoners, my Lord Bolton." "Of course, your majesty, the officers will be of great value," Roose Bolton continued. "Some among them may know of Tywin Lannister's plans. I have my doubts. Regardless, we shall soon uncover the truth," Roose Bolton said coldly. "There is an old saying in my family, a naked man seldom keeps secrets. However, a flayed man has none." Roose Bolton, the lord of the Dreadfort, appeared refined, yet was as ruthless as he was cunning. Robb retorted bluntly, "In the north, my father forbids flaying. But we are no longer in the north." Roose Bolton insisted. "We will not torture them," he cautioned. "The path of honor may seem noble, but in war, honor can become a hindrance. The Lannisters also hold hostages. I will not provide them with an excuse to mistreat my sisters." Suddenly, a scream echoed nearby. An injured man was groaning in agony, while a physician clad in white robes attended to him. "You are infected. Amputation is necessary." No, the physician urged. "Bite down on this and lie still. It is better than biting off your own tongue." Robb subdued the wounded man, his gaze drifting to the girl tending to him. She possessed an admirable figure and a flawless face. "What is your name?" he inquired. "Talisa." "Your surname? Do you wish to know for whom my family fights?" "It is unfair that you know my name but not my lineage." A youthful exchange transpired amidst the battlefield. In the distance, Roose Bolton observed the retreating figure of Robb Stark, and his previously sullen eyes grew colder still. At the camp of Renly Baratheon, late at night, Petyr Baelish sought an audience with Renly, attempting to communicate with him, yet was met with Renly's rejection and indifference. He had come at the behest of Joffrey, not only to glean information about Renly Baratheon but also bearing a special task. He had also gathered minor intelligence regarding Margaery, such as the fact that she still resided in her own tent and had not yet shared quarters with her husband, her king. Meanwhile, Loras and Renly were engaged in clandestine meetings late into the night. With his silver tongue, Petyr Baelish spoke, and after a few words, Margaery's mood soured further. Later, he approached Catelyn and, through brief conversation, persuaded her to release Jaime Lannister. A transaction was consummated through the ashes of Eddard Stark and the promise of his daughter. On this day, Balon Greyjoy met with Stannis Baratheon by the seaside. 2 dukes, equally entitled to ascend the Iron Throne, were now adversaries, 2 brothers. One clad in blue and the other in red, their respective banners fluttering in the wind. "My Lady Stark, I never anticipated encountering you in this tempest," Stannis proclaimed loudly. "Lord Stannis, I too did not foresee my presence here," Balon replied. "Is that truly you before me?" Balon inquired. "Who else could it be?" Stannis retorted. "Upon seeing your banner, I was uncertain. Whose colors do you fly?" "Mine own," Balon smiled. "I wager if we were to fight under the same banner, confusion would be inevitable. How did your stag become singed?" The Red Priestess Melisandre coldly interjected. "It is the royal emblem of His Majesty, the fiery heart of the Lord of Light." Balon replied without courtesy. "You must be the infamous Flame Priestess I have heard whispers of." "Ah, dear brother, now I comprehend what drives you to cling to superstition in your advanced years." "Mind your words, Balon," Stannis admonished sternly. "Oh, do relax. I never imagined you would become so fervently enamored with faith. Indeed, you are tedious, rigid, and uninteresting, yet certainly not devout." Melisandre asserted, "Before your elder brother, you ought to kneel. He was born by the command of the true God, in the land of smoke and salt." "Born in the land of smoke and salt?" Balon laughed. "Is he then a ham? This is my second warning to you." "Listen to the words you speak," Catelyn interjected. "Were you my sons, I would clash your heads together until you recognize the bond of brotherhood." Stannis queried, "Lady Stark, I am curious as to why you stand with my brother. Your husband supported my claim to the throne, sacrificing himself for the rightful cause. Yet you question me in the presence of this usurper? By law, The Iron Throne belongs to me. Those who deny this are my enemies. From Dorne to the Wall. The realm denies you, Balon retorted without reservation. The old man murmured denial upon his deathbed, while the unborn child kicks in its mother's womb, denying as well. No one wishes for you to be their king. Brother, you simply lack friends. Remember your own sins, Lord Balon. This is the man I once held dear, Stannis replied. And the two parted in discord. Balon was indeed audacious. He commanded the Stormlands and Highgarden, leading an army of 100,000, strong and formidable. However, unbeknownst to him, that night, under the escort of the Onion Knight Davos, Melisandre birthed a shadow. That evening, Balon Greyjoy was assassinated within his royal tent. Bran and Catelyn, regarded as the primary suspects, managed to evade capture. The Storm and the High Court were engulfed in chaos. The vast army of 100,000 men under the command of Renly Baratheon was entirely subdued by Stannis Baratheon. Stannis' forces ascended to become the most formidable power on the continent of Westeros. Subsequently, Stannis set his sights on his ultimate destination, King's Landing. In the wake of Renly's demise at Stannis' hands, Ser Loras Tyrell, the Knight of Flowers, sought vengeance for his beloved. Meanwhile, the cunning Margaery Tyrell aspired to ascend to the throne. Under the machinations of Petyr Baelish, the Tyrell and Lannister families opted to forge an alliance once more. In Harrenhal, Tywin's astonishment was palpable. Late at night, in Harrenhal, Tywin, compelled by the offensive of the Northmen, was obliged to return to this dilapidated fortress. His forces plundered the riverlands, expelling all who could be expelled. Vast tracts of land were rendered desolate. They amassed a considerable fortune, transporting it back to Harrenhal. Though they had encountered setbacks on the battlefield, their strength remained largely intact. He dispatched Tyrion to King's Landing to stabilize the situation and stationed Kevan along the riverbanks to defend against the encroaching forces. Simultaneously, he received intelligence from various sources. The Greyjoy family from the Iron Islands had launched an assault on the north and seized King's Landing. The latest reports indicated that Theon Greyjoy had betrayed Robb Stark and had slain Robb's two younger brothers, Bran and Rickon, who were, in fact, still alive. Robb Stark found himself bereft of his stronghold, inciting panic among the numerous northern nobles who feared that their lands would also fall prey to the Iron Islanders. The offensive was momentarily stymied. Meanwhile, the head of House Tully, Duke of Riverrun, and Governor of the Trident, Hostine Tully, passed away peacefully. Robb Stark, helpless, attended his grandfather's funeral alongside his mother. The Lannister family gained a brief respite. Suddenly, a knight's silhouette burst into Harrenhal. The Lannister cavalry, upon recognizing the armor and identity of the intruder, swiftly parted ways. Who could this be? He seemed familiar. To encounter him here was truly uncanny. It was Sandor Clegane, the Hound, the brother of the Mountain. Was he supposed to be in King's Landing safeguarding the young king? What could he possibly be doing here? Who knows? There is certainly a spectacle to behold. Within Harrenhal, the Hound, disregarding his fatigue, presented himself before Tywin Lannister. What brings you here? Tywin inquired. Observing the disheveled state of the Hound with a furrowed brow, Arya, who had been taken in as Tywin's attendant, turned her back to the two men. Feigning engagement with her belongings, too apprehensive to turn around. They had encountered one another numerous times during her father's journey to King's Landing with King Robert. The Hound recognized him. The Hound rasped, Lord Tywin, His Grace King Joffrey has a letter for you. What letter? Tywin furrowed his brow. Why not use a raven? The raven has already been sent, but it appears it was intercepted, the Hound replied. Tywin shook his head. Bring it to me. I am curious to see what news my dear grandson has that warrants a messenger. The Hound respectfully handed Tywin a letter sealed with wax. The contents were brief, and Tywin quickly perused the message, instinctively narrowing his eyes. It was no wonder. He glanced at his newly acquired servant, a girl disguised as a boy, of noble birth and well-educated. He had assumed she was merely a minor noblewoman, but it turned out to be something else entirely. Arya Stark, Tywin stated. Arya involuntarily gasped, but immediately sensed the gravity of her situation. Capture her. The Hound recognized the small servant as the very Stark girl they had been seeking and promptly advanced toward Arya. In a state of panic, she scrambled through the window. With the Hound hot on her heels, chaos erupted within Harrenhal. Yet, Tywin remained unmoved. Although Harrenhal was vast, it was teeming with Lannister soldiers. Where could a small girl possibly flee? He reopened Joffrey's letter. Arya's identity, the movements of House Greyjoy, and the strategies to divide and recruit House Tyrell. Along with the Boltons and the Freys, were these truly devised by Joffrey? Tywin felt a flicker of doubt. The young wolf of House Stark was still too inexperienced to control the unruly northern nobles under his command. Victories in battle were one thing, but a setback could spell disaster. Recently, he had received an astonishing report. Robb Stark had executed a member of House Karstark. What nonsense was this? The Starks and the Karstarks were kin. To uphold military law and orders, he had slain a Karstark? This had led to House Karstark's defection from Robb Stark's army. Additionally, several other noble houses had also withdrawn their support. In a bid to bolster his ranks, Robb Stark, accompanied by his mother, had traveled to the Twins to attend his grandfather's funeral, seeking to win over the soldiers of House Tully. This presented a fine opportunity for Tywin Lannister. He had already dispatched messengers to contact other noble houses in the north, such as the Boltons, the Umbers, and the Manderleys. It seemed that only the Boltons had responded to his inquiries. How did Joffrey come by this knowledge? And what of House Frey? It was rumored that Robb Stark had forsaken a marriage alliance with House Frey for the sake of a minor noblewoman. Was this not sheer folly? The Frey family holds dominion over the city of Wanha, a coveted stronghold. In defiance of the wedding, the Frey family has recalled their forces. Robb Stark now finds himself in a precarious situation. Tywin observes all of this with keen interest. What transformation has befallen Joffrey? Seize her. Capture that girl. You little brat. Don't run. Within the walls of Harrenhal, a dozen soldiers shout as they pursue Arya Stark. With her slight frame, she deftly evades their grasp. At last, she spots her objective. Jaqen, take me away. Get me out of here. No one is leaving. The Hound charges forward, instantly spotting Jaqen standing beside Arya, and unsheathes his sword to strike. Jaqen's expression shifts dramatically. Little girl, you have summoned unnecessary trouble for the many-faced god. Arya urgently exclaims. You promised to help me kill 3 people. Do it. Jaqen's lips tremble. I am an assassin, a killer, not a warrior, nor a brute. Before he could react, the Hound's massive sword swung towards him. Clang. Jaqen blocks the blow, retreating swiftly while seizing Arya. Come with me, little girl. There are too many people here. As the Lannister soldiers closed in from all sides, Jaqen made a swift decision to flee with Arya. Stop. Where do you think you're going? A thunderous roar suddenly reverberated through the castle. A towering figure, clad in iron armor and standing nearly 2 meters tall, charged forth. Wielding a great sword that resembled 2 hand-and-a-half swords, he barreled towards Jaqen like a tank. The Mountain. Minutes later, despite Jaqen's agility and speed, he was merely an assassin, ill-suited for direct confrontation. In a moment of carelessness, both man and sword were cleaved in 2 by the Mountain. Meanwhile, Arya Stark had already been captured by the Hound. Little girl, we meet again. Do you long for your sister? In Essos, during a late-night conversation, the topic of Beric's whereabouts arises. Daenerys Targaryen, the mother of dragons, arrives in the city of Qarth. The 13, simply observing the dragons, deny her entry. However, a merchant named Zaro, leveraging his reputation and the laws of Qarth, chooses to welcome Daenerys into the city. Within Qarth, she receives an overwhelming reception. Yet, her requests for funds to acquire ships are systematically rebuffed by the 13. When she seeks Zaro's assistance, she discovers that her dragons have vanished. A male sorcerer named Paya seduced Daenerys into the Hall of Immortality. He sought to harness its power to imprison both the dragon and Daenerys herself. Unfortunately, he could not withstand the might of the dragon and was incinerated by its flames. Even the sorcerer's symbol, the entire Tower of Immortality, was reduced to ashes. Zaro, who deceived Daenerys, found himself confined within a desolate treasury. Daenerys's followers pillaged the city, acquiring vast wealth. Upon the council of Ura Mormont, Daenerys resolved to journey to Astapor in the Bay of Slaves to procure the most valiant and loyal warriors of Essos, the Unsullied. In King's Landing, Tyrion rose from the bed of Shay. Podrick had been waiting for quite some time. He took a generous gulp of red wine and inquired, Podrick, have you discovered what our esteemed King Joffrey has been up to these days? Podrick's expression was somewhat perplexed. Our king is indeed peculiar. He trains daily with his white-cloaked knights in the barracks, mingling with the newly recruited soldiers, and does not return to the Red Keep to attend to royal matters until dusk. Training with the new recruits? Tyrion exclaimed in astonishment. With those commoners? You must be mistaken. Podrick shrugged. I cannot be mistaken. Besides, the fact that Joffrey frequents the barracks is common knowledge. Very well, Tyrion replied resignedly. It appears my dear nephew has indeed matured. How many new recruits has he enlisted? Approximately 20,000, Podrick responded, taking a hearty sip of wine and grimacing. But the wine in King's Landing has a strange odor. Has my sense of taste failed me? Tyrion chuckled. This is the finest wine of King's Landing. How could a rustic tavern possibly offer such quality? 20,000 recruits, can Joffrey truly manage them? Podrick nodded. I have heard he commands 300 knights, appointed by King Robert himself, each capable of taking on 100 men. He has elevated these Spartan warriors to various ranks, overseeing the defense of the city. Furthermore, he has ensured an ample supply of food for the new recruits to win their favor. I almost feel inclined to enlist myself. It can be said that all of King's Landing is under Joffrey's dominion. He also frequently visits the Alchemist Guild in the city, though I know not for what purpose. The Alchemist Guild? Those mysterious figures in black robes? What business does he have with them? I do not know. Ample provisions, you say? It seems my nephew has plundered the treasures amassed by Baelish over the years. Tyrion nodded. Enough about him. What of Baelish? Have you located him? Podrick shook his head. I visited his brothel, but no one knows where he has gone. With great effort, I gleaned from a high-class courtesan that Lord Baelish departed the city alone prior to reaching King's Landing. However, he did not disclose his destination. The courtesan further remarked that Lord Baelish exhibited considerable excitement upon leaving King's Landing. Excitement? Tyrion found himself perplexed. He was somewhat familiar with Baelish, the master of coin, hailing from a minor noble family in the Riverlands. Yet, he had persistently sought avenues for ascension, operating several brothels and maintaining cordial relations with the majority of the nobles in King's Landing. What could possibly elicit such excitement from a man like him? Could it be that my nephew had enticed Baelish with a title to undertake some task? Tyrion could only speculate. It seemed imperative to seek an opportunity to converse with Joffrey soon. At dusk, when Joffrey returned from the camp to the Red Keep, Tyrion had been waiting for quite some time. Joffrey greeted him with a smile, saying, "My dear uncle, what brings you to seek me at such a late hour?" Tyrion responded respectfully, "Your Grace, I apologize for my previous rudeness. After observing you during this time, it is evident that you indeed embody the qualities of a competent king. At the very least, you surpass your father in capability." Joffrey's eyes widened in realization, understanding the implication of Tyrion's words. During his time as a prince, he had been excessively pampered by Robert, Cersei, and Jaime, which fostered a haughty and arrogant disposition. However, Tyrion had not indulged him, often providing guidance and occasionally reprimanding him. Now, Tyrion found himself apologizing to Joffrey. Joffrey chuckled, "Do not fret, my uncle, I am not so petty. Moreover, you are now the hand of the king appointed by my grandfather. In some respects, I still have matters to entrust to you." Tyrion replied, "Your Grace, please feel free to command me. However, I am curious about Lord Baelish's whereabouts. The absence of our master of coin complicates certain matters." Baelish? Joffrey's eyes gleamed with a spark. "I have dispatched him on a mission. He should currently be among the forces of Renly Baratheon, in the camp of Renly." Tyrion recalled something. Lord Baelish was not a man easily commanded, and yet the king had managed to direct him. No matter, Joffrey waved his hand dismissively. "I promised him that upon the successful completion of this task, I would grant him Harrenhal and bestow upon him the title of Duke." "A Duke?" Tyrion gasped in astonishment. "Your Grace, you truly are magnanimous. To confer the title of Duke in one fell swoop? Harrenhal, a place that was already devastated during the War of the Usurper, with scarce population, land, and mineral resources. In truth, Harrenburg is indeed an expansive land, sufficient to sustain a duke, and Barris will soon ascend to become one of the kingdom's esteemed nobles. Your Majesty, should we consult Lord Tywin regarding the ennoblement of Barris? That place is nominally untroublesome." Joffrey chuckled, remarking that it is merely a desolate locale. Furthermore, whether Barris can accomplish the task remains uncertain. By the way, Uncle Tyrion, as night falls, why not stay for dinner? Joffrey's smile bore a peculiar quality. "Come evening, I shall invite you to witness a splendid performance, capturing Cersei, castrating Lancel." In the dead of night, Joffrey led Tyrion deeper into the Red Keep, accompanied by Leonidas and several valiant Spartans. Tyrion grew increasingly perplexed. "Your Majesty, this direction seems to lead to my mother's chambers. What business do we have there at such an hour? My sister may already be asleep." Joffrey replied nonchalantly, "My dear Lord Tyrion, you shall soon find out. My mother does not retire so early." He emphasized the word mother with a deliberate inflection. Tyrion seemed to recall something and fell silent. He hesitated. "Your Majesty, my sister is, after all, your mother." "There is no need for mother," Joffrey interjected, shaking his head. "In the game of power, familial bonds hold no significance. The Lannisters are adept players of this game. Even you, Tyrion, are not exempt. Killing one's own father, driving one's siblings to despair, what qualifies you to discuss such matters?" A chill coursed through Tyrion's heart, yet there was also a sense of relief. The game of power, indeed. It appeared that his nephew had matured into a formidable individual. Such a person is precisely the kind suited to rule the 7 kingdoms from the Iron Throne. The group arrived outside Cersei's chambers. A beautiful handmaiden, upon seeing Joffrey, brightened and hurried towards him. "Your Majesty, do not be formal, Emma," he replied. Emma, Cersei's devoted handmaiden, was the same one previously dispatched by Cersei to seek Joffrey. "What of the Queen Mother?" Emma stammered. "She is inside, and Lancel is also," Joffrey murmured. "Let this matter remain known to as few as possible." Emma fervently nodded her head. "I understand, Your Majesty." her anxious little face flushed with color. After this affair, come to me. The Queen Mother will not harm you. Emma's eyes sparkled with gratitude as she exclaimed, Thank you, Your Majesty. Emma will undoubtedly attend to your needs. Joffrey waved. And Leonidas promptly approached the door to Cersei's chamber. After glancing at Joffrey and receiving his command, he took a deep breath and kicked the door with force. Bang! The locked door, capable of withstanding the impact of an ordinary person, was easily breached by the valiant Leonidas. Who goes there? Inside the room, two panicked voices echoed. Leonidas quickly retreated, guarding the entrance alongside the attendants. Joffrey, after waiting for a few moments, entered with Tyrion. Within the chamber, Cersei, draped in sheer fabric, sat upright on a large couch, her lower half covered with a voluminous blanket. Her cheeks were flushed, her hair disheveled, and her eyes reflected a state of alarm. Upon recognizing Joffrey, her expression was further marred by a deep sense of confusion and embarrassment. Joffrey, what brings you here at this hour? Joffrey replied with a smirk, Mother, it is indeed a matter of great importance that has brought me here so late. As he spoke, he approached Cersei. With evident trepidation, she implored, Let us speak of this tomorrow. Do not come any closer. Her eyes were filled with panic and fear, tinged with a hint of desperation. Yet, Joffrey showed no signs of retreat. Grabbing the blanket from Cersei's shoulders, he yanked it away with force. Ah, Cersei gasped, as both she and the blanket were cast aside. Beneath the cover lay another figure, curled up, a frail, pale-skinned young man with a strikingly handsome face, Lancel Lannister. At that moment, he pressed his lips tightly together, fear etched in his eyes, afraid to utter a sound. Upon meeting Joffrey's icy gaze, he scrambled to Joffrey's feet. Your Grace, spare me, I beg you. It was the Queen Mother. I dared not defy her orders. Please, Your Grace, have mercy. Lancel Lannister, the Duke Tywin Lannister's younger brother, the eldest son of Kevan Lannister and the Count of Derry. Once a squire to Robert Baratheon, he had often faced ridicule from Robert, secretly serving Cersei Lannister. He had played a role in the conspiracy to murder Robert by providing him with copious amounts of strong wine, leading to his demise at the tusks of a wild boar. Later, during the Battle of Blackwater, he lost an arm and sustained severe injuries. Upon recovery, he renounced worldly desires and became a devout believer in the divine. Ultimately, he aligned himself with the armed group led by the High Sparrow, which, according to the family lineage, made Lancel a distant cousin of Joffrey. Lancel Lannister trembled at the cold words of Joffrey, which echoed throughout the halls of the Red Keep. Your Majesty, Lancel stammered. Behind him, Tyrion let out a deep sigh. Your Majesty, after all, he is the eldest son of Uncle Kevan. For his sake, before Tyrion could finish his sentence, Joffrey swiftly drew his dagger and struck down. Thud. Lancel let out a horrific scream, clutching at his groin, writhing in agony as blood gushed forth between his fingers. A chunk of flesh had been mercilessly severed by Joffrey. Your Majesty. Tyrion rushed to support Lancel. Help. Call for a physician. Do not worry, Uncle. He will not die, Joffrey replied coolly. I recall that Lord Kevan has a brother and a sister. Losing this piece of flesh is of little consequence. At least, he is still alive. Without that flesh, life is worse than death. Moreover, who says Lancel does not deserve to die? The Battle of the Blackwater awaits him. Joffrey then turned his gaze towards Cersei. Mother Cersei trembled, unable to face him, her back turned to the boy. Having been caught in such a compromising situation by her own son, she felt utterly humiliated. From now on, you shall remain in this chamber, Joffrey stated bluntly. You need not meddle in the affairs of King's Landing or the Seven Kingdoms. With that, he pivoted and left the room. Joffrey's Cersei turned, her teeth clenched in fury. Suddenly, a notification from the system chimed in. Ding. You have imprisoned the Queen of the Seven Kingdoms, Cersei Lannister, effectively eliminating the possibility of her interference in the harem, thus saving King's Landing and the continent of Westeros. National fortune enhanced. You have received rewards. 1 historical beauty recruitment card. You have received rewards. 1 mount card. You have received rewards. 10,000 knight armors. Upon hearing the system's announcement, Joffrey's eyes sparkled with excitement. Setting aside the beauty recruitment and mount cards, the 10,000 knight armors represented a crucial military resource for King's Landing at this moment. Many of the newly recruited soldiers lacked proper armor, most trained in mere leather gear, wielding only ordinary iron swords. After all, crafting a full suit of knight armor is a far more arduous task than forging a longsword. A complete suit includes a helmet, chainmail, boots, and even belts and plates, making the entire process intricate and time-consuming. Even a seasoned blacksmith, accompanied by 3 apprentices, might take a month to forge a single suit of knight armor. Some impoverished nobles even regarded the knight armors passed down from their ancestors as treasured heirlooms, treating them with utmost reverence. A complete suit of knightly armor, during the time of war, could fetch a price exceeding 100 gold coins. Historical Beauty Recruitment Card. Upon use, it allows one to recruit a lady of charm exceeding 100. Ranked among the top 10 in history, the rankings of these beauties are not in any particular order. Mount Card. Upon use, it grants one a steed. Knight Armor. 10,000 complete suits of knightly armor, including helmets, chainmail, iron boots, and longswords, have been secured within the royal warehouse at Lionsgate. Your Majesty. Tyrion's voice roused Joffrey from his reverie. What do you intend to do with my sister? Tyrion knew that this matter was a hot potato, fraught with peril for both himself and Joffrey. If the regent were to find out, it would undoubtedly spell disaster for King's Landing and the Lannisters. Perhaps the enemies would exploit this situation to undermine the Lannisters further. Joffrey replied with a cold sneer, "Rest assured, Lord Tyrion, this matter shall not leave the Red Keep. Only you and I, or perhaps Lord Tywin and Lord Kevin, will be privy to this knowledge. The Queen Mother will be permanently confined here, unable to step outside. All Lannister knights and forces under her command will be at your disposal. From this moment forth, you shall be the true hand of the king in the Seven Kingdoms." Tyrion gasped in astonishment. It appeared that Joffrey intended to utilize this situation to completely vanquish Cersei, seizing true power from her grasp. Meanwhile, he himself had become a mere sword in Joffrey's hand. The Queen Mother's infidelity was already a scandal for the royal family. If the king were to discover it, he would surely go to great lengths to conceal and suppress it. However, involving Tyrion altered the dynamics significantly. Firstly, he was also a member of House Lannister, and moreover, the Queen Mother's brother. This was an immense source of shame for Cersei. Yet simultaneously, Tyrion held a degree of authority as the temporary hand of the king. His involvement in this affair forced Cersei to relinquish her power. Otherwise, Tyrion could easily use this incident as leverage against her. Thus, Joffrey, Tyrion, and Cersei formed a perfect iron triangle, balancing and relying upon one another, with Joffrey holding the reins of sovereignty. "Lord Tyrion, you should return to rest," Joffrey said, bending slightly to pat his shoulder. "I have received word that Renly has been assassinated, and his forces are in disarray, most of them having been subsumed by Stannis. Now, Stannis' combined naval and land forces exceed 100,000. They are advancing south along the Narrow Sea and will soon reach the Blackwater. Tomorrow, I have several more pressing matters to assign to you." "Renly has been killed?" Tyrion exclaimed in shock. "Lancel, the younger brother of King Robert, commands the territories of Storm's End and Highgarden, boasting formidable military strength. He can be regarded as the most powerful figure in the War of the Five Kings. Yet, who would have anticipated his untimely demise? This bodes ill. Stannis has absorbed Lancel's forces, his navy and army now surpassing ours. His grand army could reach the Blackwater River within mere days." "Fear not, my Lord Tyrion," Joffrey laughed. "I have made my preparations. Your Majesty, we shall discuss this further tomorrow, for I am ready." In the dead of night, Joffrey returned to his chamber, retrieving a beauty recruitment card and a steed card. He first employed the steed card. Steed card successfully used. Steed randomly selected. Selection successful. You have acquired the Blood Dragon Horse. Blood Dragon Horse, a legendary steed believed to possess the bloodline of dragons, hailing from the Valyrian Peninsula, known for its fierce and savage nature, unafraid of dragon's might. The Blood Dragon Horse has been placed in your stable, available for riding at any time. A Blood Dragon Horse? Joffrey nodded. Such a powerful mount could indeed be a warrior's lifeline, akin to El Bu's red hair or Chow Chow's Juang. Joffrey then took out the beauty recruitment card and chose to use it. Beauty recruitment card successfully used. Recruiting from the top 10 beauties in history. Recruitment successful. You have successfully recruited the beloved concubine of King Zhou, Daji. Who? Joffrey was momentarily taken aback. Daji, the beloved concubine of King Zhou. Is it truly possible to recruit her? Joffrey inquired. Is this Daji the one possessed by the nine-tailed fox, or the one before the possession? Daji, the nine-tailed fox. How could she be within his grasp? The system responded. She is neither the Daji before the fox's possession nor the one after, but the historical Daji from the annals of history. Historical Daji? What does that imply? The system elucidated. Historical records state that in 1047 BC, King Zhou, Emperor Excalibur, led his army to attack the Yusu tribe, which surrendered, offering cattle, sheep, horses, and the beauty Daji, submitting to Emperor Excalibur. At that time, Emperor Excalibur was over 50, while Daji was in her prime, greatly favored by him, almost always obeying his every word. Thereafter, she indulged in revelry, living in debauchery, inciting the ire of the feudal lords. Daji advised Emperor Excalibur to increase taxes, procure rare treasures, and expand the imperial gardens, scouring for exotic beasts for entertainment. Daji further suggested that Emperor Excalibur establish pools of wine and forests of meat, hosting thousands for pleasure, where men and women would cavort naked, reveling throughout the night. inciting public outrage and the fury of officials who united against her. To quell these grievances, Daji devised torturous punishments, such as the cauldron of molten metal, and forced the Chancellor, Pygon, to his death, ultimately provoking the wrath of heaven and the united attack of the lords. In the Battle of Mai, King Wu of Shou triumphed over the Shang army, leading to the self-immolation of Emperor Xin on the Deer Terrace, while Daji met her demise at the hands of the Zhou forces. The Celestial Fox's enchanting dance, a skillful alchemist. Name, Su Daji, identity, handmaiden of the Red Castle. Dancer, strength, 70, intelligence, 86, politics, 89, military, 66, charm, 104, skills, noble etiquette 9, swordsmanship 6, horsemanship 2, special skill 1. Celestial Fox's enchanting dance. A unique dance inherited from her family that enhances her charm by 15 points while performed, captivating all, regardless of gender. Special skill 2, wine pool and meat forest inactive. After receiving the monarch's favor and affection, it produces varying effects depending on the monarch's fortune. If the monarch's fortune is strong, it significantly boosts the monarch's attributes. If weak, it absorbs the monarch's fortune, causing calamity for the nation. Joffrey furrowed his brow. Wine pool and meat forest? Truly a double-edged sword. He inquired of the system, what identity has Daji assumed? Where is she now? The system responded, Su Daji's assigned identity is that of an exotic dancer, offered to the host by the merchants of the Summer Islands. She is currently resting in the handmaid's quarters and can be summoned at any time. An exotic dancer? Joffrey's eyes brightened. The term exotic refers to those from distant lands. In the realm of ice and fire, it can be likened to a grand empire. For clarity, it can be roughly understood as follows: the gentlemen of Westeros, the ancient Egyptian city-states of Slaver's Bay, the European continent of Essos, the Siberian plains of the Dothraki Sea, the Cossacks of the Dothraki, and the great empire of the exotic lands. In these lands, a multitude of ethnicities and nations thrive, including many with black hair and yellow skin. Leonidas, my lord. You may leave now. Yes, my lord. Leonidas and several Spartan warriors swiftly exited the chamber. Emma, my lady. The young handmaiden approached Joffrey, her cheeks flushed, unable to meet his gaze. From this day forth, remain here. Yes, my lord. Go to the handmaid's quarters and summon an exotic dancer named Su Daji. Yes, my lord. Emma's face displayed disappointment, yet she complied with Joffrey's command. Before long, Emma returned with a slender woman of ebony locks, her long, lustrous hair cascading down to her waist. Her dark, bright eyes and strikingly beautiful face resembled that of a frightened little fox. Draped in a sheer white garment, she revealed a considerable expanse of delicate skin. Truly, the alluring temptress of calamity was indeed captivating. Joffrey inquired, Are you Su Daji? The young girl replied softly, Yes, my lord. I am Su Daji. I have heard that you are quite proficient in martial arts. Allow me to demonstrate for your majesty. Yes, your majesty, Su Daji whispered softly. She then spread her arms and began to dance, initially resembling a timid little rabbit, her movements somewhat stiff. However, as time passed, she seemed to grow more accustomed to the rhythm. Her motions gradually loosened, and her steps became light and lively, reminiscent of a mischievous little fox. Throughout her dance, an enchanting allure emanated from her, captivating all who beheld her. Joffrey's eyes glittered with increasing brightness and greed. He rose, seizing her by the arms, and tossed her onto the soft couch. The following day, Joffrey, along with Tyrion and others, arrived before a row of dilapidated houses. This location lay to the east of King's Landing, adjacent to the Dragon's Lair and close to the flea market. It was the hall of the Alchemist Guild. Beneath the Rainey's Hills, it extended along Silent Nun Street all the way to the Visenya Hills. The area was vast, yet for some peculiar reasons, the common folk from the flea market, separated by a wall, were disinclined to venture here. This place served as the site where the alchemists manufactured and stored wildfire. Tyrion held a transparent vial, gazing incredulously at the flowing green liquid within, his eyes wide with astonishment. The elderly alchemist, Harlan, trembled as he spoke. My lord, be cautious. It could ignite at any moment. Tyrion glanced at Joffrey and remarked, Your Majesty, I recall a sailor's adage. Urinate on wildfire, and you will find yourself a eunuch. Joffrey chuckled. But no one dares to conduct such an experiment. Harlan respectfully addressed Joffrey. Upon receiving your command, we at the Alchemist's Guild have worked tirelessly day and night to refine the wildfire. We have now completed more than half. Joffrey nodded slightly. How could he not recognize the potential of wildfire, which had shone brilliantly in the original tale? Thus, even before Cersei's orders, he had instructed the Alchemist's Guild to commence the refinement and production of wildfire. Harlan excitedly continued, Your Majesty, my lord, this substance is highly flammable, capable of melting wood, stone, and even steel. Naturally, it can easily incinerate flesh and blood. He chuckled, his demeanor somewhat deranged. Wildfire was indeed the specialty of their alchemists. Some even referred to them as fire sorcerers. This substance burns with an intense heat, causing flesh to react as if it were oil. Startled, Tyrion hastily handed the vial of wildfire back to Harlan. Harlan pressed on. Since the dragons were young, wildfire has become the cornerstone of House Targaryen's dominion. At this, the ever-curious Podrick interjected, "Your Majesty, my lord, I have heard tales of alchemists wheeling carts around the barracks, showcasing their jars filled with pig excrement. I have encountered many such madmen." Joffrey chuckled, "Sir Podrick, they are not selling pig dung. Correspondingly, it is conceivable that this wildfire could be extracted from the excrement and urine of swine." The notion that such refuse could yield wildfire astounded both Tyrion and Boros. Harlan gazed at Joffrey in sheer disbelief. The secrets of extracting and manufacturing wildfire were known solely to the Alchemist's Guild. How could His Majesty Joffrey be privy to such knowledge? Joffrey chuckled. Although he was not fully versed in the intricacies of wildfire's creation, he could surmise the process. It likely involved the extraction of substances such as white phosphorus from urine, subsequently utilizing it to produce combustible materials akin to incendiary devices. The essence remains constant. Wildfire undoubtedly contains an abundance of white phosphorus, augmented by other compounds and formulas to culminate in the substance we know today. Harlan excitedly exclaimed, "Your Majesty, this substance appears akin to fire. Prepare for the defense. Your Majesty, this material resembles fire from the era of King Maegor. We have refined the formula." As he spoke, he animatedly gestured, envisioning the wildfire contained in jars, ready to be launched from catapults into the enemy's ranks. No army could possibly endure the explosions and flames of wildfire. Joffrey wholeheartedly agreed. The wars of Westeros bore a striking resemblance to those of ancient Essos, where knights wielded cold steel. Wildfire, however, represented a rare glimpse into the realm of incendiary warfare. Although it could only serve as a makeshift Molotov cocktail or explosive, it marked significant progress. With judicious application, whether for defense or siege, it could become a formidable weapon. Alas, Joffrey was not of a scientific background, incapable of crafting earth-shattering explosives. Otherwise, he might have advised these alchemists to create even more devastating bombs. Tyrion inquired with astonishment, "Your Majesty, do you have any notion of how much wildfire Lord Harlan has produced?" Harlan, brimming with enthusiasm, responded, "Your Majesty, my lords, please follow me." He opened a school gate and traversed a long, dimly lit corridor before unveiling a sealed door. Inside the chamber lay row upon row of wildfire, encased in jars slightly larger than human heads, filling the entire room. "Since your command was issued, our Alchemist Guild has been diligently refining wildfire. Presently, we possess 12,456 jars of wildfire, enough to incinerate Stannis Baratheon's fleet and army entirely." Though Harlan's words were understated, they resonated with a chilling gravity within the stillness of the basement. Tyrion murmured, "Your Majesty, this wildfire is sufficient to obliterate the entirety of King's Landing. Your preparations are truly astounding." Joffrey shrugged nonchalantly. "It's nothing, merely fundamental operations. Moreover, I have devised additional defensive strategies." Tyrion's astonishment deepened. "What else do you have in store?" "For instance, the iron chains across the river." Joffrey chuckled. "With your intellect, I am certain you can devise such strategies." "Indeed." "Your Majesty," Joffrey murmured, "I too contemplated using the iron chains to obstruct the Blackwater River, but regrettably, our time is insufficient." "On the contrary," Joffrey replied, "in addition, I have mobilized some of the displaced, felling the colossal trees from the forest beyond the city and transporting them to the walls with baskets, preparing them as battering rams and rubble. I have also prepared wildfire. When Stannis' army breaches the Blackwater, they shall be greeted with a grand feast." Tyrion inquired, perplexed, "Wildfire? What is that?" "You will discover it in due time, though I doubt you will relish its flavor," Joffrey laughed. "Lord Tyrion, I intend to assign you the tasks of concocting wildfire, crafting battering rams, and brewing the substance." "What say you?" Joffrey declared with feigned respect, "At your command, my liege." "And what of you?" "I have other matters to attend to. Ruling King's Landing is not merely about defense," Joffrey remarked coolly before turning to leave. "Harlan, how goes the other task I set for you?" Harlan rasped, "Your Majesty, we have nearly perfected the formula you mentioned. By grinding quicklime and clay into a paste, then mixing it with the iron residue from smelting, we can create the material you require. When watered and stirred, it transforms into a thick, mud-like substance. As you said, once dried, it hardens to the consistency of stone." "What is that?" Tyrion leaned in. "Merely a building material," Joffrey replied. "Building materials?" Tyrion questioned, bewildered. "Your Majesty, do you intend to become a builder?" No, certainly not," Joffrey shook his head. "I aim to stabilize the situation in King's Landing. due to the war. The influx of common folk into the city has been overwhelming. They lack food, shelter, and some even lack clothing. I believe a sturdy home and sustenance are what they desire most at this moment. Tyrion remarked skeptically, we are on the brink of a siege. When do we have the time to manage these commoners? Joffrey laughed. Lord Tyrion, have you not heard the saying, to believe everything one reads is worse than being illiterate? Surely you have perused countless tomes on warfare and sieges. However, those texts seldom reveal that most perish during a siege not from battle, but from starvation. Food becomes more precious than gold. Noble women would barter their diamonds and jewels for a sack of potatoes. If the conflict drags on, the minds of the populace will shift, and the impoverished may resort to cannibalism. Thus, I must devise a means to accommodate the citizens and the displaced within the city. Joffrey continued, moreover, you have surely examined the map of King's Landing and are aware of the vulnerable points. As the master of ships, Stannis has spent several years in King's Landing and is well acquainted with its terrain and defenses. The Mud Gate will be the focal point of contention in our offensive and defensive strategies. Located a mere 50 yards from the Blackwater River, it is imperative that we bolster the defenses at the Mud Gate. We must decisively vanquish Stannis' forces outside its walls. At that moment, I shall lead my subjects and soldiers into battle for the Seven Kingdoms. My Lord Tyrion, I entrust this task to you. Lead the charge, you say? Tyrion replied hoarsely. I was considering proposing to His Majesty the marriage of Princess Myrcella to the Martells in Dorne to forge an alliance for the peace of the realm, which cannot be achieved through mere matrimony. Joffrey retorted sharply, my Lord Tyrion, do not mention alliances in my presence again. Myrcella is your niece, but she is also my sister. If a union is desired, let the Martells send their daughters to us. As you command, your Majesty. He finally felt a sense of genuine submission towards his unfamiliar yet familiar nephew. As Joffrey exited the door accompanied by Leonidas, an abrupt notification echoed in his mind.